tipped out and finished strong. And I think it's shown that he's progressed nicely from 2 to 3.
Windstar and Sienna Farms Timberlake, Flavien Prat to ride, Florent Giroux in Dubai, riding Saudi Crown in the Godolphin Mile, is trained by Brad Cox, seeking a historic third straight win in the Arkansas Derby. Cox indicating he's very pleased with Timberlake's most recent breeze here. And right on cue, Brad Cox will be celebrating his 44th birthday here at Oaklawn Park. This weekend's headline events, the stakes rundown later today. The Temperance Hill is mentioned. Tomorrow, 4 stakes races, Arkansas Derby, Fantasy, Oaklawn Mile, and the Matron. Live coverage right here on Fox Sports 2. Field for that Temperance Hill. The marathon Rajiv was talking about, 1.5 miles, big field, older horses. Despite the post, number 13, Red Run, 4-1 lukewarm favorite. This was last year's Isaac Murphy Kentucky Derby weekend at Churchill Downs. Rajiv, and Red Run, that late run, a big effort, but he just can't catch Warrant in the end.
Yeah, this was a big effort for him. And if Warrant was in this race, Warrant would probably be the favorite. Now, the toughest thing for Red Run here is going to be his outside post. His jockey, Manny Esquivel, is going to have to really make some key decisions early on, because this race that he's running in, he's breaking from the far outside post, and it's a short run to the turn. But if he can finish like he did this day, he's going to be coming well at the end.
Trip feels like it's going to be everything with such a big field. Red Run, one of many contenders in today's Temperance Hill, as we say hello to Maggie Wolfendale, who has made it to Hot Springs. Maggie, Red Run back to dirt today. Same can be said for the very well-traveled Classic Causeway.
Exactly, Lafitte. I'm here on the Oaklawn Park apron, where nice crowd today, but it's going to be jam-packed tomorrow for the Arkansas Derby. Typically seeing biggest crowds of the meet. But yes, Classic Causeway, it's been nearly a year since he has run stateside, and it will be a return to the turf after what Kenny McPeak said. We tried the European experiment. That didn't go so well. So he's back at it here stateside. And while this horse is a Grade 1 winner going 1.25 miles on the turf, the argument could be made that he is better on the dirt at a shorter distance. And furthermore, he's going to have to do it off of the long layoff of nearly 8 months since he last ran over in England. Also, he's likely to face some pace pressure on the front end. He's a freewheeling type that is posted towards the outside as this 1.5 mile marathon. They break on the backside and hit that first of 3 turns quite quickly. Like I said, he could have company from a horse by the name of Speed Bias. And for more on him, we check in with Paul LaDuca. Paulie?
Well, thanks, Maggie. Yeah, you know, Speed Bias and Classic Causeway are 2 horses that kind of have, clashing, styles, don't they? They're 2 horses that want to go to the front end. And when you look at Classic Causeway, he's more accomplished, obviously, at the longer distances. When you look at Speed Bias, is he an honest racehorse? Yeah, he's a very, very honest racehorse. But the worry that you have is he's 1 for 12 the last 2 years. He's had some clear leads at shorter distances. Now, he did run well going 1 mile and 3/16. He lost to Rattle and Roll, a Kenny McPeak runner who had won the St. Louis Derby. You look at the body of this field, though. Red Run's the one horse that's run basically at this distance. Not many horses have run at the 1.5 miles. So maybe somebody like Speed Bias stretching out to the 1.5 miles could help. But I have a feeling, Classic Causeway and Speed Bias both have the same running styles. We'll see what happens later this afternoon.
Something to watch right from the start of the Temperance Hill. John Ed Anthony owned Temperance Hill, the 1980 Arkansas Derby and Belmont Stakes winner. That's the feature today at Oaklawn Park. Today's race is brought to you by Claiborne Farm, 100 years doing the usual, unusually well. Late pick 4 on tap from Aqueduct. Race 7 starts across country, pick 5. And from Oaklawn, races 4 through 10. Race 9, that Temperance Hill, post time around 5:55 Eastern. Race 10, good allowance race to close the show. As we say hello to our friends in New York, Greg Wolf, Andy Serling standing by at Aqueduct. Guys, what's happening at the Big A?
Thanks, Lafayette Rajiv, doing a great job out there. Looking forward to all the coverage coming up this weekend. We have a pretty good card here, latter half of the card coming up. We get into the late pick 4 next. Sun is shining. Beautiful day here on this Friday in South Ozone Park.
Track is fast, which is a little hard to believe for people who watched the show yesterday when we had all that rain yesterday. But the track, they do an amazing job, and it dries out very quickly. And I agree. I think that every race sort of gets a little better than the one before it. And the last race today is a very interesting race, and looking forward to talking about it.
All right, we'll have that coming up. And, yeah, that's probably the best betting race of the entire card to close things out today. Pick 4, as we said, that comes up next. Day started muddy, upgraded to good. Now it's fast. As we're 20 minutes away from this 5th race, you can play all the action by getting signed up with Naira Bets. New members, that's the promo code to punch in and sign up. Bonus $200 and get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus right there at NairaBets.com. So let's get into this card here in New York. Race 5, first leg of the late pick 4, 7 furlongs, $20,000 claiming race, and probably the most wide, or just one of the most puzzling races to try and handicap on the card.
I was saying to you earlier, this reminds me of one of those maiden claiming Arkansas bred races we look at Oaklawn, where they all run the same speed figure, and it's very hard to handicap. And somehow you and I managed to like the same horse in Blue Eyed Warrior, who we thought ran very, very well before coming up here and running a race she was way over her head. In fact, losing to a horse who may well be favored in the fantasy tomorrow at Oaklawn.
Yeah, that's my main squeeze, the New York bred filly. Blue Eyed Warrior, the 9. She might get the lead. If she can't, she could be dangerous. Jose Lezcano, yes, quietly putting together a very strong winner. 39 wins, over $2 million in earnings, and only Manny Franco better, finishing in the top 3. Jonathan, can you hear me?
I got you now, Wolfie. I got you now.
Okay. Yeah, you sound good.
It's American Pharaoh putting away Bridget's Big Lovey. Mr. Z moves into second. On the outside, Win the Space and the Truth or Else. There's an 1/8 of a mile to go. And American Pharaoh is putting on a show. He has not been asked a question, but everyone knows the answer. He is indeed the ruler. American Pharaoh, breathtaking in a mesmerizing performance as he dominates the Arkansas Derby.
Mesmerizing is right, and that was only the beginning. American Pharaoh, 2015 Arkansas Derby winner. Raj, the colt who ended the longest Triple Crown drought ever.
And look, when you watch this performance, you can tell why he went on and win the Triple Crown. He was so dominating amongst his peers, winning in hand. Victor Espinoza, he was just a glorified galloping here, just taking it as easy as can be.
Baffert would always talk about that efficient, effortless stride. Ears up American Pharaoh. Sensational in the 15 Kentucky Derby. And for his trainer, Bob Baffert, lots of success at Oaklawn, lots of success in the Arkansas Derby, 4-time winner, including the sweep in 2020, taking down both divisions with Charlatan and Nadal. Baffert seeking a 5th with Muth, 8-5 morning line favorite. Remember, he's not eligible to earn Kentucky Derby points. Baffert still suspended by Churchill Downs, Raj. So this, in theory, could be Muth's final prep for the Preakness.
Yes, if he was to win this race, as American Pharaoh did the 2015 Derby, Arkansas Derby, he would be one of the key contenders or top contenders for the Preakness. However, I believe that this race is going to answer a lot of questions for their connections in Muth. I believe that a 1.8 mile distance is a threshold for as far as he wants to go. And he's going to have to really prove that he can be at the top of his game at a 1.8 miles.
Muth, the favorite for tomorrow's Arkansas Derby. 36 days until the Kentucky Derby, and tomorrow a massive day in terms of preps leading up to the first Saturday in May with the UAE Derby in Dubai, the Florida Derby, and right here, the $1.5 million Arkansas Derby. Of course, we'll have live coverage of the Arkansas Derby, not to mention that UAE Derby. We're on all day long. Dubai World Cup from Meydan. And for the 88th Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, 12 hours of thoroughbred racing right here on Fox Sports 2. Today's program, gearing up for the 4th race. Horses are on the track. Arkansas bred restricted claimers, all for sale. They're all one for something. It's wide open, Raj. And if you said you could ride one of these horses, it would in fact be the current favorite, who we'll see in the post-parade, Mr. Works. But first, there's Water to Wine at 9-1.
Yeah, a horse that should be sitting mid-pack and looking to make a big finish.
Cybertown, contender.
One of the favorites here, but doesn't have much early speed, which might be troublesome in a race like this.
Singing Groom, not much at this level last month.
No, and looking to probably stay a little closer today than he was farther back last time.
Long shot here, Wicked Prince.
Another one that is going to be off the pace in a race that seemingly doesn't have too much pace as yet.
Mad Mardigan, 52-1 outsider.
Had a decent run last time, got shuffled at the 3/8 pole. We'll be looking for a cleaner trip today.
Point Blank, his one win a year and 6 days ago right here.
Yeah, and cutting back in distance might be what they're hoping will help him.
Mr. Cougar, 1 for 40 lifetime.
Yeah, a horse that runs a lot of good races but doesn't seem to quite get the win.
Kinfolk, Keith Asmussen, a date with Just Steel in tomorrow's Arkansas Derby.
Yeah, Keith is on a roll, and when things are going like that, you usually find yourself in good positions.
Mr. Works coming in off a win, just graduated 15 days ago.
The horse that looks like he has the right running style for this race, enough natural speed to be close and then get first run on the closers.
7-5 favorite. Then Howl, yeah, not much to howl about of late.
Yeah, it's hard to turn around a 61 lengths defeat, and doesn't seem much reason why you would.
Royal DB, a first career win in the mud at Delta Downs in Louisiana.
Coming off a win in a race like this is actually is a good thing, because a lot of these horses haven't won in a long time.
A lot of losses for the others that have piled up. Fetcha Brahm, John Court, Jinx Fires teaming up.
Another horse that was beat out of sight against the same competition last time, so not sure what would make him have a big form reversal here today.
That's the field for the 4th of 10 at Oaklawn, who will earn that elusive second career win. Post time 2 minutes. Over to Maggie and Paul.
Paul, I have no idea why I did my hair today. It's a pretty nice, steady headwind horses are running into down the stretch.
See, I learned from a young age, I just put Aqueduct on my hair like my mother used to. See, and it's
Well, as Lafitte was saying, the elusive second win for a lot of these, but the horse to beat is actually going for 2 in a row, as Mr. Work, was a last time out winner. And Paul, what struck me about him last time is he was a horse that had that proven route for him, and it kind of almost feels like the same thing. Like, he's the dependable one at this distance.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I have this horse on top because when you look at some of the other runners in here that are kind of in contention, he's the most proven horse at the mile and a 16th with his last 2 races. Now, I know he got beat by one of the horses in here. It seemed like he didn't like being up front. You know, I was kind of with Raj that he likes to maybe be a little bit off the pace.
Yep.
And he draws great in here at 6-5. And I think that the good thing about it is that Greg Compton doesn't shoot for the moon. You know, winning a state bred 45,000 Arkansas breds to this is the right move.
I could not agree more. As a horse that we thought may have been just using the last race as a bit of a prep, 6 furlongs off of the 6-month break, was number 2, Cybertown.
Yeah, Cybertown's the horse that, for William Martin, actually got put up via disqualification in race 2 at a big price. But this is a horse that, if you look back, has run some good races here at Oaklawn Park at the state bred level, actually breaking his maiden here. In his last race, it's just a straight prep race because he's way better going in a longer distance. You do get Rocco Bowen, and he's a deserving second choice just because he does have some back races that can win this race.
Ron Moquette will send out a stretch out in number 8, Kinfolk, as looking at them as a whole, of this group, Paul, he probably looked the best, but boy, looking at him physically, I'm not sure if he really wants to go this distance, though he kind of runs those even races where sometimes that style does lend itself well to more ground.
Yeah, you never know, right? It's like, you know, Ron Moquette's such a heady trainer. You wonder why this horse hasn't been able to go long, but then there's other things about it. Have they written a lot of races for you know, Arkansas breds 12-5s going long? So you wonder here, and I'm kind of with you. I'm against the horse because I look at your opinion, and I didn't really like the horse anyway because, you know, stretching out, doing something where the 9's a more proven horse.
He's 5-1. We have some long shots. I'm a little interested in how, I thought he looked great out on the racetrack, and it's his first race at a route this year on a fast track. The first 2 on fast tracks in December here were at 6 furlongs. Seems to be a bit more proficient going longer. You had another long shot to talk about in number 6, Point Blank.
Yeah, great movie if you ever wanted to see it. Gross Point Blank, a great movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you look back, and I'm reaching back in the form, I get it. There's a race there for the starter allowance with Kelsey Haraboard. This horse has got some back numbers in the last 2 races. Look at the slots, 12 out of 12 and 12 out of 12. This horse gets a little bit of a break. I think the 6 can make an impact at 34-1, but the 9's the horse to beat.
Always about a little creativity here in these Arkansas bred races, Lippy.
Yeah, and I didn't bank on there being a Gross Point Blank reference on this on the broadcast this afternoon, but here we are. Final thoughts, Raj, as they move into line. Mr. Works, the gelding you have on top.
I'm going to throw in a big long shot here.
All right.
Mad Mardigan, number 5. I think he's third off the layoff, had some trouble last time, and stretching back out in distance. I think this is the kind of race where a horse like this can really pop up and run a big race.
I'll help you pad that Arkansas Derby bankroll tomorrow afternoon. All set for the 4th, live from Oaklawn Park. It's post time. Here's Matt Dinneman.
Side fetches Brab. A full field of 12 voyaging a mile and a 16th. 8-5 for number 9, Mr. Works. We're ready to go. That's the 3, Singing Groom, acting up a little bit in the gate, settling down. And Laroff. Mr. Works has natural early speed. Water to Wine hustled along from the inside to get up there. Cybertown in that mix. Singing Groom. Also Wicked Prince approaching the turn. There's a scramble for the early lead into that clubhouse turn, and they line up here. Water to Wine's going to take back, and on the lead, it's Cybertown in front. Cybertown, Singing Groom, and Wicked Prince. These 3 stretched across the track. Wicked Prince and Singing Groom kicking on with it. Cybertown taken back to 3rd. Mr. Works racing outside of him. And then comes Point Blank in the red jacket, 5th now, 4 lengths off the lead. A length to Water to Wine, settles off the speed after braking alertly. A length better than Mad Mardigan down the backstretch. Fetches Brahms sent along on the outside of Kinfolk, and then comes Mr. Cougar. He's 8 lengths off the lead, galloping along in the 3rd last spot, 5 clear of Hal Ya, and Royal DB is at the back of the pack and is already tailed off as they hit the half-mile pole. A contentious pace here. Singing Groom has given way to 4th already. Cybertown still in control of the race into the 4th turn, a length in front. front. Mr. Works takes the second position in the 3-path. Between them, Wicked Prince has dropped back to third. Point Blank tries to follow Mr. Cougar. Point Blank into the third position. 2.5 behind as Wicked Prince is given way. Water to Wine about to pass him. Mad Margaden is about 8 lengths off the lead. Kinfolk is trying to rally on, but has a lot of work to do as they come to the top of the lane. Cybertown trying to make every pole a winning one as he comes down the lane and has opened up that lead to 4. Mr. Works is struggling and beaten at this point. Into second is Point Blank, but as they come to the 16th pole, Cybertown and Rocco Bowen are well ahead. Cybertown clear to the wire, and Cybertown will win it. Cybertown at 5-2 comes home about 5 or 6 ahead. Point Blank was second, Water to Wine third, Mr. Works was fourth.
Just too fast to catch. Easy wire-to-wire score. Cybertown strikes with Rocco Bowen in his fourth at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, sometimes when you get in front in a race of this nature and get control of the race, that's all that's all they wrote. And Rocco Bowen was able to put this horse on the lead, get some separation, and no one was really closing after that.
Not that he beats him anyways, but the favorite, Mr. Works, some trouble in the first turn, 5-6 wide. Looked like he was in contention, but no match late for the winner, who dominates this fourth race at Oaklawn, Cybertown. We'll have results coming up shortly. Back to Aqueduct horses in the paddock. Greg and Andy standing by.
Lafitte, thank you. Yeah, our post parade actually coming up as they come onto the track now, 5 minutes away from the start of this pick 4. Here's Amy's light for the Tom Morley barn.
She managed to sort of snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat last time out. Can she run back to it? It's fast enough to be competitive.
Pretty up for Rudy Rodriguez. 2 back, 1 on a wet track.
Yeah, actually ran okay that day to win. There's nobody in here that has no chance.
Michelle Nevin second off the claim with Taven.
She has back form that would make her much the horse to beat in here, but her recent form leaves a lot to be desired.
She's the favorite right now. The 4 Sun and Wind could be the one on the front.
Could be at least, at the very least, forwardly placed. I'd prefer others, though.
Love Like Crazy, trained by Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano.
She's slow, but her last race, she really beat the bias, so I think she's dangerous here.
Awesome Glow, gate to wire win last start. That's going to be tough to replicate.
Yeah, she beat a horse that came back and did no running yesterday as the favorite.
Born for Greatness, getting Lasix.
I mean, cuts back a little bit in distance. Maybe that'll help with the Lasix.
Katie Davis on board, 7-1. Dame Catherine next door for Bruce Levine.
I just thought her best was a cut below these horses, but frankly, there isn't much difference between best and worst in here, whoever that should be.
That's a good point. And then 4-1 outside. It's a filly coming out of a stakes race. Blue-Eyed Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, cheaper win against maidens in Florida, but both you and I liked her first and second races, and you and I both like her chances. I'm not running the window better 7-2, but I like her chances, and I'm hoping she's the speed, as I know you are as well, Greg.
Yeah, we'll see if she can control her debut. She did not get out of the gate well at all, and as a result did not get the lead. This race on a wet track at Gulfstream in her second career start broke a lot better, and she was on the lead and dominated, won by 3 1/4 lengths.
And she ran a speed figure that would make her very tough to beat in here. Now, wet track or not, she ran very well. And you had pointed out to me that in her first race, she met a horse that came up here and actually didn't run as badly as it may look in some of her races, setting a big fast pace first time out and then being foolishly rated before being run over her head in a stake race. So she has some credentials in here, and I think she's going to be very dangerous. I don't want to take less than 7-2, though, on anybody in this race, to be honest, Greg.
Lane Luzzy will be aboard, and we say she was coming out of a stake. She was way over her head that day. She was 74-1, but coming back to a more realistic spot. 2 minutes to post in this fifth to kick off the pick 4. Let's check in for the first time today with a MIG, Richard Migliori.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Absolutely beautiful day here in South Ozone Park at the Big A. And we'll get back to the 9, but we'll start with the 3, Tabin. Just made a really nice impression. Really like the way she looks, making her second start off the claim by Michelle Nevin. And she really caught my eye. I honestly wasn't overly high on her on paper, although obviously she has a chance on paper. But she really kind of won me over with how she looked in the paddock and how she warmed up. The 8, Dame Catherine. You know, this is just a really stout daughter of Take Charge Indy, carries her weight well, is coming off a maiden claiming victory. Tough step going from maiden races to, races against winners. She's going to have to improve a little bit, but she's been pretty consistent, showing enough speed to put herself in a contending position early, at least going a mile. See how she does turn back 7/8. I am absolutely bullish about the chances of the 9, Blue-Eyed Warrior, who just ticked down to your favorite now. This is a horse that's getting Lasix for the first time after being eased last time. Leads you to believe believe that maybe the Lasix is there because there was an issue last time with bleeding. Obviously, much, much tougher turn back. She did break her maiden against Open Company, albeit cheaper, but physically, she could not look any better, and that's what we're trying to do, match up what we like on paper with what we like physically. Jonathan, I think you have a little bit of a case for the 9 as well.
Well, my case just got stronger. Mine was just based off of the paper and kind of guessing a little bit, but having your opinion on how she looks on the racetrack kind of helped me get over the hump a little bit here. Look, when you're looking at a horse like Blue Eyed Warrior, you're kind of hoping and guessing what's going to happen. There is some evidence there, right? She ran an 86 time form US in that race 2 back, where she was claimed and then subsequently put into a stakes race. She ran an 86 that day, which is faster than anything else in here has ever run in their entire life. Now, is she going to run back to that? Well, it's a little bit unknown. It's especially with all three of us having our weight on her back as well. But I think the fact that Richie says that she looks great, she's physically imposing, to me, that's enough to suggest that she's going in the right direction, and we can expect a lot more of what she did on December 28th versus what she did on February 18th.
And with the result of all that love from our analysts on the program, the prices have evaporated. Thank you very much. 5-2 favorite right now with the 9.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all like this horse, and at the end of the day, she ran a 56 buyer when she broke her maiden at Gulfstream. There's not a single horse in this race that has run a figure that high, period, in all of their races. So she's a layer. Actually, I'm wrong. Taven had a 64. I apologize for that. Taven has run that race. Taven's form has declined that she could win. I wouldn't bet her at 2-1. I'm not taking 2-1 shots with my money in these bottom level 3-year-old filly claiming races where the reliability factor is on the low side. Do I think she's the horse to be? Yeah, but I could never take 2-1 in anybody in this field.
You're being kind when you say reliability on the low side. Wow. The 56 buyer she got too. It was a wet track at Gulfstream that plays to, quite often speed. She was the speed that day. She's got to replicate it on a fast track, and we'll see what happens here. Can she break better as well? She did not get out well again in that debut. Seemed to have overcome those problems, certainly in that maiden claiming win. That was a bottom-level race, though, at Gulfstream.
But she's just dropping, and she may well win this race, and she may win it easily. It just feels like a bit of an underlay at 9-5 to me. 9-5 now. It's not. It's about picking winners. It's betting horses that you think are reasonably fair odds. I do not believe she's fair odds at 9-5, even though she is my top choice.
Yeah, keep in mind, she was 5-1 morning line.
I'd rather bet the 5 at 9-2 or 5-1. To tell you the truth, 5-1 on the 5, I would bet the 5.
Can Lane Luzzy on this 9, the big favorite, control and get to the front? We're about to find out. Pick 4 starts here. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
And they're off. Hard set from the rail there is Amy's Light. Wants a piece of the early action. It's going to be Amy's Light right out towards the front. Is joined towards the outside here. But to join 3 wide there is Awesome Glow. Also pushing the pace. Here comes Tavin. And Tavin sees the seam in the 2 path. Is going to split rivals. Sun and Wind is now back to 3rd. So pressured early. Opening quarter, it's Tavin who takes it right to Amy's Light. And they're now 1-2 and head as they work up the back stretch. Touch wide is Blue Eyed Warrior, but did steer clear from all that early tempo, is now taken 3rd as they went 23-1 for the opening quarter mile. Moving throughout the rail, that's Born for Greatness is now secured 4th as they catch up to the leaders and work into the far turn with less than 4 furlongs to travel. Also, Dame Catherine's on the move as they shuffle back and forth. Back there in 6 is going to be Awesome Glow. Losing ground is Sun and Wind. Towards the tail end there, Love Like Crazy. The trailer is pretty up, but still Tavin towards the inside, and Tavin still has company here from Blue Eyed Warrior. Here comes the run from Born for Greatness, who's going to split rivals, and Born for Greatness and the red cap just split rivals, and Tavin is fighting on towards the inside, but Born for Greatness is trying to push on by. They're still 1-2, and Tavin's very game to the inside. It's Tavin who's fighting back to the inside. Born for Greatness did not push on by yet. At the rail, Amy's Light has some late momentum, is making up some ground. Same can be said for Dame Catherine, but the front 2 still duke it out. To the inside, it's Tavin. To the outside, it's Born for Greatness. Born for Greatness trying to push on by. Tavin still there. Tavin, what a victory. Tavin holds on, gets the win over Born for Greatness. Then came Amy's Light and Dame Catherine. Final running time, 1:26.34 seconds.
Co-biggest price on the board, giving Taven all she could handle. She would not quit, though. She hangs on, and she gets a win for Michelle Nevin.
Yeah, I mean, there are photos where a shorter price beats a long shot. It's just kind of frustrating if you're players. You say, well, why did my horse have to come up short in a coin flip? This was no coin flip. Taven was much the best in this race. You look at how the other horses that were anywhere engaged in this pace finished, and that includes the number 9 who we liked, who made a very move in the middle move in the race and just had absolutely nothing. This pace basically fell apart. I thought this horse ran very well in victory, and while it's only a neck margin, she was clearly the best horse. If you bet the 7 at 14-1, you're frustrated. I totally get that, but you lost to a horse that ran a better race.
Yeah, not as close as the final margin would appear here. 3-7, 1-8. Taven Eliseo Ruiz for Michelle Nevin. Second off the claim at 3-1. Here to start off this late pick 4. We'll have the prices for you when we come back on our Fox Sports 2 Friday coverage on the eve of the Arkansas Derby and the Dubai World Cup program. Our coverage begins at 8 a.m. tomorrow on Fox Sports 2, and the big closer, Senor Buscador, did it in the Saudi Cup for $20 million. Can he do it again in Dubai?
In the Pilgrim Stakes, they come on for the finish. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
With you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage on this Friday afternoon. It's brought to you in part where you can play it all. Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. On the road to the Derby and beyond. Late pick 4 here at Aqueduct on this Friday card begins with Taven at 3-1, holding off the long shot Born for Greatness for the win.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably misspoke a little bit. This race didn't absolutely and completely fall apart. But Taven did the dirty work up front and beat a horse that had a better trip than she did. I think I probably overemphasized that, to be honest with you. The more you look at it, the one did finish third in here. But still, she did the dirty work. Tough beat if you had the 7, but I do think the best horse won.
A Gervin filly.
Gervin's been an effective sire.
Yeah. Long way back to third. And it was close for third. It goes to Amy's Light. So 3-1 over 14-1 over 10-1. 50-cent trifecta there, over $100 in the early pick 5. $116. And we're 2 legs into the late sequence of the pick 5 as we move on to race 6. 7 furlongs here in New York. Bright's allowance optional claiming field. And a horse who, I guess you could say, arrived last time out. Donegal Surges for Todd Pletcher. Kind of his coming out party last time out.
He was impressive last time, no doubt about it. He finally put it together and ran that fast race. I think they always hoped he would, and especially second off a very long layoff. Obviously, there were some issues. I don't love Todd Pletcher's numbers overall off of wins and dirt sprints. They scare me a little bit as to whether or not I'm confident this horse can run back to that race, because I think he needs to run well to get it done in here. It's not an easy field, but he was good last time.
4-5 favorite right now. Kendrick Carmouche, he is chasing Dylan Davis. He already has one today, Kendrick, so he is 4 back. Dylan, of course, out of town. He is headed here to Dubai. He's going to ride Panda Gate in the UAE Derby. The big one, of course, the $12 million Group 1 Dubai World Cup. Our coverage begins 8 a.m. tomorrow on Fox Sports 2. And Senor Buscador trying to pull off a pretty impressive double, the $20 million Saudi Cup. And then tomorrow.
I think the term free roll comes into play here.
Yes, it does.
I think his trip to the Middle East has been a good one. But you know what? You still want to get it done and run well here. I think the one turn of the Saudi Cup, especially the wicked pace set by Saudi Crown, who ran too well to lose this race, frankly, and he'll probably win the Godolphin Mile on Dubai World Cup day. That suits him much better. But I haven't been able to analyze the races. I haven't been able to get effective PPs yet. Whether or not there's a lot of pace in here, because he needs pace to run his best race. If he gets it, he'll come running at the end, but he's got to get some pace. I don't have the time for him to
don't think he's going to get a lot of it.
Then he's going to be in trouble. I think Dermot Sotagaki's going to run a lot better in here.
Yeah, that was the horse everyone was expecting, big things from. Last time out, he had not run since the Classic, but he had not gone from the Derby to the Classic, where he ran that second beat a length to White Barrio. Yeah, we could see a lot better. He's 4-1 morning line here in the U.S.
It's kind of put up or shut up day for him, though, isn't it? A little bit. I mean, he's run good race before. I'm not trying to knock him. His Breeders' Cup was tremendous considering the layoff. But this is the day he needs to show up if he's going to belong in the conversation with the better dirt horses.
Senor Buscador, it is Todd Fincher, by the way, who trains
Todd Fincher.
Senor Buscador, trying to win the World Cup.
Casa Creed is going to run. I spoke to his owner, Lee Einseidler. He has not had the easiest of ships, but he is going to run. But they've been working them, and they're ready to run. And we'll be rooting for Panda Gate. We got to root for the home team. I doubt he can handle Forever Young, but I think after that, it's not that tough a field. And listen, if you go over there and you get second, it's like $300,000. It's not a bad decision, especially with a horse that's not really likely to be good enough to compete in the Kentucky Derby, as this is not the kind of prep you probably want for the Kentucky Derby.
Forever Young, far outside post, by the way, as well.
Yeah, will it matter?
Yeah, maybe not. He's pretty good.
He is really good.
Again, coverage 8 a.m. tomorrow, start time on Fox Sports 2. One of the big race days of the entire calendar year with a lot of big stars. You don't want to miss it. We hope to see you tomorrow morning, and I'll be on for part of that coverage from 12 to 1 Eastern time. We're going to take a timeout. Ron Moquette could have a very big weekend coming up. He's got long shot Oaks hopeful in Just My Heels going in the fantasy, and it's time for Truth. The real deal and a Derby contender. We will find out tomorrow.
thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. And we have a beautiful day for the running of the Arkansas Derby.
This Saturday, the road to the Kentucky Derby heats up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. America's Day at the Races brings you expanded on-site coverage from Oaklawn Park, featuring the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Don't miss all the action from 1 to 8 p.m. Eastern on FS2.
Oaklawn signature event, that Arkansas Derby. This place will be humming. 60,000 expected for tomorrow's Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Welcome back. America's Day at the Races, about 5 minutes out till race 5. Take another look at that field, though, for the Arkansas Derby. 10 deep, Grade 1, 200 Kentucky Derby points available. Let's take a look at a long shot in Time for Truth, number 4, 20-1. On the morning line, Raj, this is his stakes debut. Do you think he's ready for this?
What was impressive with his last races, it was his first time running at a route distance, because he's a horse that showed so much speed early on, breaking his maiden going 6 furlongs, and he sustained that early speed at a mile, and that's a very powerful weapon to have. He'll be the controlling speed of the Arkansas Derby, and if he can get comfortable on the lead, he might be able to pull off an upset.
You give him a shot to steal this thing.
Oh, definitely. If I was riding one of the other major contenders like Timberlake or Muth, I would not be wanting to challenge him too early. And that might end up making him be the controlling speed.
Because you figure he's going to stop. Like, he's not, at some point, we're going to be able to reel him in when we're ready to, instead of applying pressure.
Yeah, and sometimes this is how a horse like this gets in control and then dominates a race like this. I could see that happening. There's a scenario where that happens.
But proven now, going 2 turns. Maggie, now, what do you think about Time for Truth and in his second start going long at 1 1/8 against this kind of competition?
Well, Levy, one thing you can count on from trainer Ron Moquett is that he's always good for a quote. And he said to me, great horses are able to overcome anything. Good horses, they can overcome some things. And Time for Truth has already proven to him that he is a good horse, because remember, he was entered in the Rebel. Ron chose to scratch him and ran him in this race instead, his first time routing in his 3rd career start. And prior to this start, he had missed a lot of training due to weather, due to other circumstances that prevented him from a smooth campaign. Well, now, between that race and this one coming up, this Arkansas Derby, Ron has been able to tighten the screws to get him more fit, and Ron feels as though there is another move forward in this horse. I like the fact that he already has passed the distance question, and I think he's ready to take on better competition tomorrow, guys.
Time for Truth. I have a great story on his owner, Harry Rosenblum. You'll see that on tomorrow's coverage of the Arkansas Derby on Fox Sports 2. Back to the task at hand in the Friday program. Race number 5, about 3 minutes out. $10,000 claimers. Paul, some grizzled, hard-knocking vets in this one.
Yeah, you're right in here, and you got a horse in here in Mystery Mo that's a heavy favorite here for Robertina Diodoro, and probably deservingly so. Now, the issue that you have with this horse is blinkers do go on, and this horse has had some gait issues in the past. So at 4 to 5, do you really want to go there? But Christian Torres does get aboard. You know, last time out was pretty good. No, we're going a mile 16th in the proven number. As you're seeing, we're going through the post right here. You know, the 3 Bold is just taking a little bit of money for Ron Moquett. Just missed last time out. And I thought a very, very solid race. Probably one of his better races as he's gotten to be a 6-year-old. Drew Power is one of the horses that's got the best numbers. And you're wondering maybe with a tiny bit drop in class and maybe getting on a fast track under Steve Asmussen will help. I do think the 4 is a major player in here. Some of the other runners in here, I think the 7 is kind of sneaky because we've seen some horses that have been coming from Presque Isle and Turfway from the Tapeta services, and they've been running well. Now, this horse has been off since October, so maybe I'm reaching a little bit. Timothy Martin, like we said, has just had a really unlucky meet with 19 seconds and thirds, but the 6 in here, Galactic Empire, belongs in here, and Rocco Bowen already looking for a double on the card. But, you know, when I look at this race, Mystery Mo, you know, if he can conquer the break, get in position, he's going to be really tough. But I do think you're getting great value. So my selection is going with Drew Power with the Asmussen duo here, Keith and Steve.
Yeah, well, this race severely lacks pace. I think that's a big factor, right? Because Mystery Mo is the favorite, but like Paul said, doesn't really break too good, doesn't have a lot of early speed. And when you look through the entire field, the only horse that I could come up with that has speed is number 8. So this might be a case where we saw in the last race, where a horse gets on the lead in a paceless race and runs a banger.
You said going in, you were going to try to figure out a way to try and beat Mystery Mo, who is at 4-5. What about Boldish, number 3, a contender at 4-1 for the aforementioned Ron McQuett?
Yeah, this is one of the horses that I think is going to be one of the pace factors. If I was riding this horse, I would be wanting to put him really close to the early pace, if not on the lead. This is an apprentice, so it doesn't have that much of experience, but what he does have in his favor is he gets a 7-pound weight deduction. He's against his competition, so he's going with 7 pounds lighter than Mystery Mo. If this horse is able to get to the lead or close to the lead, that'll be a significant dynamic advantage for him.
Boldish, 7-2, second choice, and there's the gelding you thought might have a chance to try and steal on the front end, a little bit like Time for Truth, where the rest of the riders figure, oh, we don't have to worry about him. Eventually, he's going to come back. Yeah, well, whichever jockey is the most assertive coming out of the gate for that early position is going to have an advantage. 30-1 on the 8, Ever Loving Hand. And right off the start, that's what we have to watch with Mystery Mo here, is how he gets out of the blocks. That'll be the key in terms of him being in a position to win here and deliver as a favorite, or if that opens the door to a potential upset. Yeah, in Christian Torres' head right now, he must be thinking one thing and one thing only. How do I get this horse to break out of the gate and secure my position going forward? Being in the inside position, going into the first turn, you don't want to get shuffled back here. If he gets shuffled back into a slow pace in front of him and they start backing it down, he's going to be stuck into a position that he doesn't want to be in. So I'm expecting that. But the one thing on his mind is get out of the gate and hustle to secure that position going forward. And he might end up just being a horse that goes to the front if he gets a good break, because the race just really is void of a true early speed horse. Talking about the favorite, odds on Mystery Mo. It is post time for the 5th from Oaklawn. Matt Ditterman standing by.
And Laroff. Ever Loving Hand out alertly and is going to stride to the front here. Mystery Mo takes back, joined by Canadian Game, who strides into second. Ever Loving Hand and Hugo Torres lead the way into the clubhouse turn. Scamper away by 2.5 early. Canadian Game runs in second. Mystery Mo the favorite inside of him on the fence. Then a line of 3. Drew Power, Galactic Empire between horses. Awesome Family, who's 3 wide. That trio's 4 lengths clear of Boldish. Red Devil is second to last. And Promising Shoes can see them all with 3/4 of a mile to go. At least 10 lengths, maybe 12 from first to last as they make their way up the backstretch. Ever Loving Hand, the leader here, 1.5 from Canadian Game in the second position. Mystery Mo third, Galactic Empire tugging a little bit. A joint third now. Drew Power racing between horses. Awesome Family shown more rain, racing alone, 4 lengths off the lead, approaching the half-mile pole, and he's 5 lengths ahead of Red Devil, being joined by Promising Shoes. Boldish is dropped to the back now as they hit the forward turn run. Ever Loving Hand into the turn, still in front. The margin's a length. Mystery Mo riding the rail around the far turn, getting closer, and the rails open up for him if he's good enough. Now Christian Torres says go with Mystery Mo, and he's up to engage Ever Loving Hand around the far turn run. Canadian Game third, 3 wide, sent along after those leaders. Galactic Empire under pressure, 2.5 lengths behind Mystery Mo, and Mystery Mo just got a dream run up the inside, cut the corner, and opened up on the competition. Mystery Mo has opened up by 5 with a nice kick today. Mystery Mo all alone on the lead. Boldish from far out of it trying to get up into second. Canadian Games, they're battling with him. And then Awesome Family, but it's a 1-horse race. And that 1 horse is Mystery Mo. Mystery Mo wrapped up in the end and wins by 10. Awesome Family second. Canadian Game third. Boldish fourth.
Mismatch in the end with Mystery Mo by many in the 5th at Oaklawn Park.
perfectly executed by Christian Torres. Once he came out of the gate and had a good start and established that position just a couple lengths off the lead, you can tell that he's right where he wanted to be. He was just sitting comfortably and waiting for his time to go. The one thing that you would think that would be against him is if he had a bad break, and he didn't today. Maybe the blinkers help, but
always looked like a winner, and you could see this coming. This landslide at the top of the stretch, while all other riders were encouraging their horses to keep up. Christian Torres hadn't asked Mystery Mo for a thing.
Yeah, and very dominating performance. On paper, it looked like it was going to be a little bit closer of a race, but no one else really showed up.
The favorite delivers in the 5th at Oaklawn. Results coming up. Back to Aqueduct with Greg and Andy. Horses in the paddock for the 6th. Guys.
Lafitte, thank you. We don't have odds on, at least right now, but we do have an even money favorite in Donegal Surges, the 6th horse on the outside here for Todd Pletcher. There he is. His performance last time out. Can he back that up? If he can, he's going to be very tough to beat.
I agree. I thought he ran terrific last time, but I think he's running against tougher horses. Niemet, Lock and Key's last race was okay. He has a similar running style to Donegal Surges, and I think 10 Cent Town is going to be ridden aggressively today. Now, there should be some speed from the one Don't Lose Cruise as well, but I thought 10 Cent Town will bounce back from his lesser performance last time and maybe run closer. I know it was a wet track, but I think the 5's going to run much better today, and I prefer him.
And you talked about this stat earlier. So Todd Pletcher, the Hall of Famer, coming off wins in sprints. For most trainers, that percentage will be pretty good.
It's 20%. These are at NYRA with 85 starters, so it's a big sample size. However, the ROI is $1.32. So, and this is a 4 to 5 shot. Winning at 20% with 4 to 5 shots, you'll get buried. Now, I think this horse will win more than 20% of the time. But the point is, overall, they're underperforming. And if you look at all of them outside of NYRA, every time off a win in a dirt sprint, Todd is just 26 for 143, 18% and $1.02 ROI. And as the favorite, he wins at a 31% clip in general and at NYRA, but his ROI is $1.18. Which says, yeah, he's winning a third of the time with horses like this, and that's not paying the bills. So my feeling is those stats are heady enough that I think this horse could be a real underlay in here. And while I'm not going to be surprised if he wins, I think you picked him on top, I picked him second. I just think he's a bit of an underlay in here, and I'm going to go in a different direction.
Yeah, 4 to 5 seems a little short. There is the man who will ride him again. He rode him to victory last start. Kendrick Carmouche, again, trying to catch Dylan Davis, whose work for the meet is done. This meet ends tomorrow, the winter meet. Dylan Davis had a 4-win day yesterday. He's off to Dubai, so he has no more opportunities to add to that tally. Kendrick added one earlier today, so he's 4 back at Dylan with a full day tomorrow and a couple races left today to do it.
Yeah, and, you know, we keep going back to, was it 2 years ago? Who knows? It's hard to remember in time. When Eric Hensel won 8 of, like, 10 races or something in the last 2 days.
On the final day.
Yeah, he won like the last 2 on Saturday and then 6 of 8 on Sunday to beat Kendrick, who had like a 7-win lead. So anything's possible. I don't think Kendrick has an enormous amount of mounts tomorrow, though, so it's going to be tough. I don't care. He had a great meet, and he's riding incredibly well, and that's what really matters. Winning the title may be fun, but he's riding great.
Here is the speedy Don't Lose Cruise for David Duggan.
I kind of like this horse. He's a neat horse, but his big fig 2 back, and it was a big fig, was on a gold rail.
Lock and Key. He matched his best figure of his career last time out.
Jimmy Ryerson, whose barn is just firing on all cylinders, but this horse had a very good setup last time.
The Institute, Trevor McCarthy aboard.
I think this horse is a big price at 10 to 1 for a horse that's run races that are competitive.
Matty over for Jeremiah Englehart on Beach Boy Al.
The problem he has is similar to the one that Lock and Key has. They're all closers in here, and you kind of feel like the best closers Donegal Surges.
And the one they're going to be chasing, likely this horse, 10 Cent Town.
I'm going to bet him if he remains at least 3 to 1 in here. I think he's going to turn the tables today.
And now he is odds on. Donegal Surges off that impressive victory back on February 24th.
Well, I always have an affinity for the Donegal horses. Of course, they own Keen Ice, as many people will remember. Many people cried when those Silk Speed American Pharaoh. I was not one of them, but many people cried.
There's a caveat to that story. That was the one time.
Only time ever.
Andy Serling
ever picked
American Pharaoh.
American Pharaoh. You know, and that just goes to show for the owners out there that cry, you don't pick my horses. You don't want me to.
Good call. 8 to 1 on Don't Lose Cruise from the rail. We're 4 minutes to post here in this 6. Let's go downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, guys, this is a good-looking group. Honestly, I can't fault any one of these horses from a physical perspective, but there were a couple standouts, starting with the one, Don't Lose Cruise. Now, I'm not crazy about the setup for Don't Lose Cruise because he's drawn the rail, and he's shown that he's most effective when he's, you know, on top of the pace or on the lead, and he's going to have some company here, and I think that could compromise his chances. But from a physical perspective, he looks outstanding. Dave Duggan's having a terrific meeting, winning at 20%, does a terrific job. The two-horse Lock and Key, who ultimately is going to be my top selection. I think he gets enough pace to set things up. Jimmy Ryerson's barn is going extremely well. And this horse has got dapples really starting to pop out. And what that tells me, he's just doing really well overall physically. And I think that's just an important thing to look at. You're talking about horses' general overall good health. The 4, Beach Boy Al, another one, making a really nice impression at a big price. I just lost some of my notes. This horse is fitted with a, breastplate to keep the saddle in place. It's for horses the saddle tries to slip back, but he really looks great. And your favorite looks fantastic at Donegal Surges. I mean, Todd Pletcher's horses always look good. His assistant trainer here in New York does a great job. He's well drawn, 7/8, should set up well, and there's a lot of pace. And Jonathan, he's your favorite, but boy, he looks like he's going to get a nice setup.
He should. Look, I mean, Donegal Surges is one of those horses who, early in his career, winning first time out, you win first time out at Saratoga, the sky's kind of the limit, right? That's why that's so exciting during the summer in Saratoga for the maiden races, the first-time starters. You get to see potential greatness developed. Well, he never really turned into that. He kind of fell off a little bit after that debut win. But then last time, he really showed back up and showed the Donegal Surges that I think we all thought he was going to be upon debut in that afternoon in August back in 2022. With that said, he still doesn't have a style that I love to lean on, that I love to trust, kind of a late-running sprinter so far at this point of his career. And a lot of times when you're a late-running sprinter, you're very dependent on other things to happen. And while there is some speed in here, it's not like it's inevitable that it has to be some blazing fast pace. So that's a little bit concerning for me. The problem is I do believe he's the best horse in the race. And if I was going to pick someone else, it would be the 5-10 cent Town. And the price differential just isn't enough for me to get off the horse that I think is the best. I wouldn't talk anyone off of the 5-10 cent Town. I just feel like Donegal Surges is actually got a little bit more of a higher ceiling. I feel like they kind of figured him out last time, and this is a potential for him to take another step forward.
Even money on Donegal Surges. His first start back as a 4-year-old. He got pinched and squeezed out of the gate, completely compromised. Then he has that breakout performance. This is the 3rd off the bench for him, and maybe he takes another move forward.
He's a tough read for me. I would certainly never bet an even money shot thinking he needs to take a step forward to win. I don't think that's what Jonathan's exactly saying. He won his first race, took a lot of money, as a lot of Pletcher firsters do, especially for Donegal, who support their horses. But he got a very fast pace, and he backed him up with a couple of okay efforts. Obviously, he had a serious issue. He was out for over a year. But he really finally put it together last time. So it's always the million-dollar question. Was that sort of a flukish race, or can he back it up? And if he could continue to back up performances and run like that and even improve off it, he could take that step forward and move in the New York Bred Stakes Company. And you have to hope, certainly for the connections, that he does.
It'll be the last in, back down to odds-on favoritism here, 4-5 in those yellow and green silks of Donegal Racing. Can he go back-to-back? It's the 6th from Aqueduct on the Friday card. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
And they're off. 10 Cent Town breaks with early speed at the rail. That's Don't Lose Cruise. It's going to be these two quickly out of the chute. Don't Lose Cruise to the inside, and 10 Cent Town now has a neck advantage in between horses. Here comes Lock and Key, is now going to be settling into the 3rd spot. Donegal Surges is in 4th. It's another 2.5. Back to the 2 trailers. That's Beach Boy Al with the Institute. They're chasing 14-1 shot Don't Lose Cruise, who's up by a half length. Right to the outside is Jose Gomez, 10 Cent Town within range, 23 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. Donegal Surges is under a tight hold here, is going to be a touch wide as they move into that turn, but wants to go. It's Lock and Key, who's tightly at the rail, is now challenging for that third position. From the back, Beach Boy Al is trying to rally on with the Institute very tightly bunched here as they're well into the far turn, and a 3-wide move from Donegal Surges. Here comes Kendrick Carmouche. They loom up on the outside of Don't Lose Cruise. 10 Cent Town in between horses now gets the cue, and 10 Cent Town is in front. 10 Cent Town battling on as Don't Lose Cruise. Donegal Surges with every chance up on the outside as 10 Cent Town is finding more. It's 10 Cent Town. Donegal Surges now sprints for home, and Lock and Key is now cut loose, is going to be on the grandstand side as well. It's Donegal Surges who's now up by a full length, battling on as 10 Cent Town. The main threat is Lock and Key in the final stages inside the final 16. Donegal Surges almost there. Lock and Key is lunging. Donegal Surges. Kendrick Carmouche picks up another one. Donegal Surges over Lock and Key. Then came 10 Cent Town and Don't Lose Cruise in 1 minute 22.54 seconds.
Donegal Surges back-to-back wins now for a Hall of Famer, Todd Pletcher, and Kendrick Carmouche second on the day. Now 3 back at Dylan Davis.
And I think in some ways a better performance than it looks really by the first two. It was an unsurprisingly somewhat moderate pace in here, particularly the first quarter. And because of that, Kendrick had to put the 6 into the race. And especially when you consider the horse, even though he proved not to be the one he had to beat, but the second choice was the 5, who was forward. And so when you have a horse like the favorite, you put him in the race, he may not run his best race. Lock and Key got a very good trip. He stayed on the rail. He angled out in the stretch. They came home in just over 12 seconds, and he was running at the favorite, but the favorite held him at bay. Nice performance by both of these, and I think you have to like the fact that Donegal Surges, moderate pace or not, is able to put himself in the race a little bit more as well, which just shows that he's improving and getting better. I don't know that he ran the same kind of dynamic fig he ran last time, but this was a nice race by him, and he's an improving horse for the Pletcher barn and for Donegal, and I'm always happy for Donegal.
6-2, 5-1. Donegal Surges starting to come on now as a 4-year-old after that long time away, over a year on the bench. Now back-to-back wins here in his 4-year-old campaign at even money here. We'll have the prices when we come back. We'll look ahead to next week's final Derby stop here in New York, the Wood Memorial. And Uncle Heavy, can Butch Reed get his first ever Kentucky Derby starter? We'll have a preview ahead.
Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play every race day. Races are posted weekly at NYRA.com/crosscountry.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
But it's all Pinehurst.
Grade 1 winner at 2.
Very impressive in the runaway Delmore Futurity.
Graded stakes winner at 3.
Pinehurst so gutsy.
The highest earning son of Twirling Candy.
Pinehurst lasted home to win it for the United States.
Bred on the same cross as Gunrunner. Pinehurst, standing at Womack.
Daredevil, returning to stud on U.S. soil. The only first-crop sire to see 2 offspring win the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes in the same year. She dares the devil, taking the Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 2 Azeri Stakes, and champion Swiss Skydiver, winning the Preakness and the Grade 1 Beholder Mile Stakes. With more exciting prospects on the track and multiple 6-figure sales in the ring, Daredevil's career is just getting started, only at Lane's End.
Back in our Friday coverage of America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. That's how Andy and I get here. And we'll be getting here early tomorrow morning with that Dubai World Cup coverage. At least I will be beginning at 8 a.m. on Fox Sports 2. 2 today for Kendrick Carmouche as he moves to just 3 back now of this tying for the riding title with Dylan Davis. Donegal surges, back-to-back wins.
Yeah, a nice performance by him, and does feel like a solid time, especially when you consider how relatively moderate the pace was. They came home in under 36 seconds the last 3/8 of a mile. Nice performance really by both the first and second finishers. And, you know, not to take anything away from Donegal surges, who ran terrific, but you can't not talk about how well Jimmy Ryerson's horses have been running. 2 wins yesterday, and Lock and Key. I mean, Lock and Key broke his maiden up in Saratoga, an off-the-turf maiden race with 7 horses, and he has really blossomed and not only incredibly consistent, but a very nice performer. Nice race by him to be second.
1:22.2 for the 7 furlongs. That is pretty sharp time as we move on to the 7th. Mile and an eighth going to stretch out here, 2 turns, 50,000 starter allowance. And at post time, Apollo Rising, the 7, should be your favorite, a 2-time winner at this distance.
He's a substantial favorite looking at doubles. He looks to be around 8 to 5 to 2 to 1 somewhere in there, and a much bigger, shorter price than the others in multi-race bets.
Well, tomorrow the big Derby prep out in Hot Springs. That is the Arkansas Derby week from tomorrow. It's the Wood Memorial here in New York, the final stop to that first Saturday in May, running through the Big Apple. And a horse we saw look very impressive in the Withers at 1 mile and an eighth. Maybe a little better than even looks on paper, because this horse had missed a few mornings as well, parts due to weather, and the track that day, he was wide throughout, was really playing to the inside.
And also, isn't it fair to say that while we know El Grande O, who finished second, took advantage of a bias this day, the fact that he ran as well as he did in finishing third in the Gotham is kind of a feather in his cap. I mean, he arguably ran a better race than Gotham. Now, maybe a 1-turn mile suits him better than 1 mile and an eighth, but nonetheless, Uncle Levy had every reason to lose this race and not a lot of reasons to win it, frankly. Beating a bias like that around 2 turns is tough to do, and we've said it before and we'll say it again. You disregard Butch Reed horses at your own peril. That guy comes here and his horses run. There he is. That was not him before, by the way. That was definitely not Butch Reed. That was it.
Dr. B has come here and won in the Gopher Wand.
But even the horse who ran second in the Busher at 7 to 1 behind Jody Song, the really good horse, right? Jody's Pride.
Yeah.
That horse was 7 to 1. That horse ran terrific, or 10 to 1. These horses run. This guy's good.
He has always felt with this horse, the longer, the better. He's a massive horse. He has a very long stride. And the fact that he went into that race at 1 mile and an eighth, short on works, missing some time, and still got it done, overcoming a bias. A lot to like with him.
I agree, and he's not as sexy as some of the other horses coming in a little bit under the radar. And I think a lot of people may disregard him, and we're not saying we think he's going to win. We'll see when the race is drawn. We think of it. But this horse is good, and he's going to make some noise at some point in the 3-year-old division, whether it's in the very top races or in the slightly lesser races, a lot of which have very good purses.
And it'd be a fun story to see Butch Reed get that first Kentucky Derby starter, see if a horse delivers on Wood Day. As you take a look at the stakes schedule next Saturday here in New York, not just the Wood Memorial on the road to the Kentucky Derby, Grade 2 Carter, Grade 3 Gazelle on the road to the Oaks, the Distaff, and the Bayshore. It is going to be a fun weekend.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. It's our first really big day since Cigar Mile Day, and I won't be in Jamaica with Raj for this one. I wouldn't miss the Wood.
You better be here.
On my first Wood, Old Forbes.
Pretty good one to attend. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, Kenny McPeak, what a day he had on Southwest Saturday. 2 big upsets in the Oaks and Derby prep, and that Derby prep winner, Mystic Dan, is looking to stamp that ticket to the first Saturday in May with an Arkansas Derby victory.
thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. And we have a beautiful day for the running of the Arkansas Derby.
This Saturday, the road to the Kentucky Derby heats up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. America's Day at the Races brings you expanded on-site coverage from Oaklawn Park, featuring the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Don't miss all the action from 1 to 8 p.m. Eastern on FS2.
No, Greg, it's shameful.
Oh. Grade 1 Arkansas Derby live coverage right here, Fox Sports 2. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races on this eve of the Arkansas Derby. Horses on the track for race number 6. Start of the late pick 5. But first, another look at the field and morning line odds for the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. 10 3-year-olds, mile and an eighth, 200 Derby points available. And a horse that's just kind of been out of sight, out of mind, because we haven't seen him since the Southwest Stakes. Number 9, Mystic Dan, 5-2 on the morning line, revisiting that Southwest, Raj. And Mystic Dan, that pristine rail trip, stellar ride, Brian Hernandez, Just Steel, that bang-up second-place finish, and a deep closing Liberal Arts to finish third.
Yeah, if Mystic Dan can duplicate this race, this performance, he's virtually unbeatable, I believe. However, how is he going to get the same trip that he got last time from the 9-hole to safe ground? I mean, he did it last time from the 10-hole, but now he's more of a factor, a horse that is going to be on everyone's radar. The other jockeys can't allow Brian to be able to get over, secure the rail, and get this dream trip and then open up the rail again. I just can't see that happening.
And is he that much better on a wet track? And the rail was a really good place to be in the Southwest Stakes. Not taking anything away from Mystic Dan, that's just an observation. Those are the facts.
Yeah, that's the fact. Everything was so perfect last time. It's so hard to align that again. There's so many variables to expect that he's going to get the same perfect scenario again.
With the added distance for Liberal Arts, could that be a difference maker in far as him stepping forward and defeating Mystic Dan and company?
Well, if you go back and watch the first turn when Mystic Dan was coming over to the rail, he almost impeded Liberal Arts, and Liberal Arts got shuffled back. For two horses with two different run-in styles, Mystic Dan has a quicker turn of foot, and Liberal Arts is a more steady pace, lumbery kind of horse. It makes me believe that Liberal Arts is going to appreciate more distance, more so than even Mystic Dan. So I believe that Liberal Arts can turn the tables on him with the right setup.
We'll have it for you right here. Keep prep for the Kentucky Derby, the Arkansas Derby on Fox Sports 2 as our Friday coverage continues from Oaklawn. State bred, $20,000 claiming event, mile and a 16th. Field and updated odds. We check in with Maggie and Paul.
Well, Lafitte, as you guys were just mentioning, the Arkansas Derby, Steve Asmussen will send out 3 in there, but Paul, he'll send out one of the favorites here, and this is the 5-year-old number 6 Storm Strategy, looking for start number 14 to be the lucky one.
Yeah, and I had literally asked you, I said, listen, how does this horse look? Because, you know, I want to go on, obviously, Maggie's eye on how the horse looks, and she said, well, the horse looks the same as last year, and he's still a maiden. But when you look at numbers, he is, I guess, the barometer in here to beat. But do you really want to take 8-5, like you said?
Exactly. I mean, yes, he has the fastest last time out number. He was just run off his feet along with the rest of the field last time out at Remington Park. And he gets back with state breds. And as we were just talking about, he's a reclaim for Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen. I did write on the top of my page, slow plotter. He is a bit of a slow horse.
Yeah, he just might run into the right field today, I guess, you know, because a lot of his races have been outside of Arkansas bred company. And when Steve had him, you know, earlier in his career, his Arkansas bred races probably win this race. But again, that 0 for 13 does stick out.
He's 8-5, whereas 6-1 on number 10. Big Andy Moore will be ridden by Carlos Barboza. Sounds like Joseph Bellemere off of his mounts today. But Big Andy Moore, I thought was interesting as Jimmy DeVito is going for a milestone win here.
Yeah, he's got 14.99. I think 1,500 wins would be great for a trainer like Jimmy DeVito. Such a great trainer up in the Chicago area for a lot of years and all over the nation. And yeah, Carlos Barboza will be the rider, Joey Bellemere. As they have not announced, but it looked like he was just over there with the EMTs just getting checked on. Hopefully it's just something. It looked like he was like had like a migraine or something like that. We're hoping that it's just that, and we'll see, because they have not announced he's off the rest of his mount, so hopefully he'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy, I thought last time out in a strung-out field, was only one of 2 horses to make up any ground as that one dominated on the front end. He looks fantastic throughout the preliminaries here. Little intrigued by a horse who's stretching out here. I mean, aptly named Welcome to Arkansas here for Alcade. This horse is all legs, all scope, everything about him. Paulie says longer is better. And furthermore, he's posted towards the inside, had a bit of speed sprinting, and I think he gets a comfy spot forward in here with Kelsey Haar.
He can be a player in here, definitely going to the front end. In his last race, it says reluctant. He was unruly, actually, at the gate. And then he broke like a rocket, which is kind of crazy, because if you look at some of his races, he's not a bad gate horse except his first race. But for some reason, we got a late scratch here from Matt Dinnerman.
Scratch number 13, unnecessary tricks. Scratch number 13, unnecessary tricks in race 6 per advice of the track veterinarian. Folks, with this scratch, this is how this works. We have
for Gary Red Dog Hartledge, it's a 46-1 shot, but we've seen some 46-1 shots run. So we get back to, you know, the 2 horse. Yeah, I mean, Kelsey Haar can be aggressive. I would think they're going to be on the complete send. And, you know, if the horse can mind his manners a little bit and save some energy, you never know here at 16-1.
Yeah, it does have blinkers today, too. And speaking of some trouble, number 3, Double Check. Well, he was checked about 20 times going into the first trip. First turn, he just lost all position, all chance in the first run to this clubhouse turn.
Yeah, you know, I do like, though, that he kept on trying to plug away a little bit, and I give Walter De La Cruz a little credit. He didn't give up on the horse. He made, like, you could see how he made that middle move and then just flattened out a tiny bit, which is going to happen. And that was the first time going long for that son of a Double Irish. I do think the 3 is the kind of the sharp horse in here. The 3 and the 10 could be flying right, and Raj does make a good point. Unless the 1, and usually we do get people that do like to go to the front end, unless they establish some pace, then if that happens, then the 10 and the 3 are major players in this race.
Absolutely. As we do have that late scratch at Lafitte 13. Big long shot in here will not play today, but will the 5-year-old for the Asmussen Barn break through today in Storm Strategy? He's going to be also hoping that there's a bit of pace in front of him.
Yeah, the Asmussens disqualified in the second race, I believe it was earlier today, trying to strike here. Storm Strategy at 8-5, and for Team Double Check, as you heard them discussing, just hoping for a cleaner run. They're hoping for a chance this afternoon. Completely blown up on the clubhouse turn in his last race.
Yeah, when we went back and watched this replay, we saw that he was annihilated. The page wouldn't be able to fit as much time he checked, so it said took up and checked, but he had a lot of trouble. He had no shot to recover from that. And he actually ran decently credible, that came back and only got beat 10 lengths and a much higher level. So there's a lot of things to like about him. One thing that I don't seem to like is the way he's acting on the track.
What are you seeing?
He's looking pretty nervous and getting hot out there. And for a horse that says took up in rank, this might give me a tendency that this horse has a tendency to be overly aggressive. So that's something to keep an eye on here, because what I see is going to happen, there's a lot of speeding in this race. I know Maggie and Paul was touching on the point about maybe the number 2 being able to get to the lead with the blinkers on. But I don't see any chance that the 1 horse is not going to try to come out and secure the rail with De La Cruz. This horse has been on the lead the last 2 times. And also number 4, Speaking Loud, showed a lot of speed. So if there's a big speed duel here, including the 3, it might be a great setup for number 10, Big Andy Mort, which is another horse that Maggie touched on that they really like down there. And for me, it seems like this horse is going to be the biggest benefactor of a hot pace.
See how it all unfolds. Filing into the gate. Time for the late pick 5 on this eve of the Arkansas Derby. Friday coverage from Oaklawn Park on Fox Sports 2. Final check of the toe board reading 8-5. On the 6th Storm Strategy for the Asmussens. Matt Ditterman standing by.
3, Brahms Jr. Speaking Loud, post 4. working with Brahms Jr. Brahms Jr. goes in. Here's Mr. Benny. Mansoura goes in. Get Away With It will be second to last. Mansoura has loaded. Get Away With It. Okay, Away With It to the outside. Get Away With It goes in. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Mansoura broke alertly, is up on the pace after that. A scrimmage for the early lead, though. Welcome to Arkansas's quick. Double check in that mix of horses. Our Heavenly Gift about to ride the rail into the clubhouse turn. Finds a seam from the inside. Our Heavenly Gift, welcome to Arkansas. These two kick on. Ensure a quick tempo now, and they spurt about 4 lengths clear of Double Check. Happy to sit off this very fast pace. Speaking Loud in the 4th position, along with Mansoura. And then another length and a half to Storm Strategy. Mr. Benny there side by side. Get Away With It is running in the 4th last position, well off the speed. He's 2 better than Tommy Try, and the 2 at the back, Big Andy Morton, Brahms Jr. down the backstretch. Welcome to Arkansas. Went 23 seconds flat, is slowing the pace right now, right down. It's Welcome to Arkansas, a length in front. In second, Our Heavenly Gift getting closer, tips outside into the 2 path. It is now on the throat latch of Welcome to Arkansas with about a half mile to go. There's a gap of 2 to Double Check getting closer. Speaking Loud and Storm Strategy there together. A 4-deep Mansoura tries to advance position, but under pressure around the turn. Mr. Benny is 7 lengths behind as they round that turn, and then Get Away With It. Plotting in place right now, well out of it, Tommy Try, and Big Andy Mort lost the rider. That's Big Andy Mort, number 10, who unseated the rider as they come to the quarter pole. Coming back to the lead, Our Heavenly Gift in front here, but here's Double Check on the outside, and Double Check goes to the front. Here comes a run from Storm Strategy in the 3 path, is gaining good ground, and Storm Strategy has hit the front with a furlong to go. Double Check trying to hang with him in second. He is coming down the stretch. Storm Strategy with a narrow edge. Double Check game on the inside. He has run his heart out today. Storm Strategy, Double Check, Storm Strategy on the outside. Out finishes Double Check, who ran gamely but was second home. Third, Get Away With It at 90 to 1 to round out the trifecta, and Mansoura was 4th.
Slugfest to the wire. Storm Strategy finally edging away from Double Check. Our concern, however, with fallen rider Carlos Barbosa, who was subbing for Joey Belmere in this 6th race at Oaklawn Park, off the 10, Big Andy Mort. So any update on his condition, we will pass that along. Regarding fallen rider Carlos Barbosa, the winner here and the favorite at 6-5, Storm Strategy for the Asmussens.
It breaks through with a nice maiden win here. Big run, too, from Double Check, trying to battle back. It was a nice horse race down the lane, but the favorite prevails after 13 times. The 14th time is his charm.
Finally puts it all together to graduate. Big effort. Yeah, you like Double Check going in. He had all that trouble in his last start, and as Dinneman referenced in the call, just how much of an effort he put forth. Just in the end, outrun by the favorite Storm Strategy. Meantime, getting ready for the cross-country Pick 5 starts in the 7th at Aqueduct. Greg and Andy standing by.
It does indeed. Thank you, Lafitte. And here's our post-parade. Mile and an 8, 50,000 starter allowance, and this is gut feeling for the Cantermachi barn.
Yeah, he's coming off a win, albeit against lesser horses. He'd have to improve. He's saying a lot of money. I'm surprised.
Collect from Ike hopes to be forward.
He's probably part of a pace that could be pretty honest in here.
Orlando Noda Barnes second off the claim. A new Gelding Memphis, the 3.
Well, if Gelding him turns him around, then I guess he has a chance.
What a blast. Maybe the speed of the speed.
Another likely part of the pace. He's a last time was the time horse. This is much, tougher.
He won at 6-1 last time out for non-winners of 2 life for $25,000. Here's Grandpa's Kid for Randy Persaud.
Unlikely to be favored by post time. He did run okay last time, but he lugged in badly, costing himself the win. If he acts badly again, it's going to hurt him.
Rudy Rodriguez Barnes, second off the claim, was Seeking Unity.
How is he a bigger price than the number 1 in this race? Because he's a major contender. This is absurd.
Strange to see. And then Apollo Rising, we expect to be the favorite by post time. Right now, second choice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Apollo Rising is the horse to beat in here. I like him. He's been consistent, and he should get a good trip.
So let's take a look at Apollo Rising in action. He's a multiple winner at this, can be demanding mile and an 8 distance. And this was him on a wet track last time out when he just missed against Cheeky Tico.
Yeah, he's not supposed to have lost this race. I'm going to be honest with you. Having said that, maybe they moved a little bit too soon with him. I suppose it's a possibility, but he should have won this race. Now, I don't know where Cheeky Tico came up with his race. He was up front. He dropped back. Still, he still ran a race that's consistent here. I think he's very, very logical. He's going to be favored. To be honest with you, he's 6-5 morning line. He's probably going to end up a little higher than that, but not a lot higher. I wouldn't bet him this price. I kind of misjudged it. I think the overlay right now is the 6 at 5-1, even though he's my third choice.
Turn for this horse, the favorite now at 9-5, comes up pretty quick, but he does have good speed out of the gate to try and get some position. So Manny Franco has his job cut out for him. Let's go downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, guys, another nice competitive heat here. Some good-looking horses. I want to start talking with the 3. Memphis, who returns, the son of Gunrunner, returns as a gelding. Yeah, big, strong, solid horse. It's really well turned out. Just a picture of health. Now, he's been well beaten by both Apollo Rising and Seeking Unity. But sometimes gelding a horse really changes their attitude and makes them a more honest kind of individual. He's a horse that does carry a lot of weight. One of the byproducts of being gelded is they do lighten up, carry a little bit less weight. He is absolutely the picture of health here. The 7-horse Apollo Rising, one of only 2 horses that have actually won at the mile and 8th distance here. This horse has a nice record at the mile and 8th distance. 4 starts at the distance, 2 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. He looks terrific. Like everything I'm seeing from him, can't fault him whatsoever. But I don't think a lot separates him with the 6 Seeking Unity, the other horse who sports a win at the mile and 8th distance, and he looks outstanding. He is absolutely, gets the Paddock check mark, gets the warm-up check mark, and I like what I'm seeing from Seeking Unity, and I wish I could lock in at 5-1. Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll take that right now as well. I think the 6 Seeking Unity makes a ton of sense in here. When you see horses that are switching hands a lot, I like to see who's grabbing the horses. Is it talent and traders that do well with those types of situations? Horse started with Kenny McPeak, Linda Rice, obviously we know what she's capable of, takes Seeking Unity, and then Rudy gets involved. And I just feel like, you know, the little bit of added distance from this horse kind of makes a little bit of sense. You know, this horse ran well in the slot going 9 furlongs last time, or 2 times ago, excuse me. It was probably not quite the lifetime best, but it looks like it on paper. And I also think if you watch that last race, I felt like possibly Seeking Unity may be moved a little bit early. And I think that if you could maybe learn from that, you could maybe try to get a little bit more out of the 6. And I like the price at 5-1. I've got no problem with that at all. So I'll take the 6, Seeking Unity, at 5-1.
Surprising he's at that number. He was 7-2 morning line. And we'll see if that number comes down. But favoritism now where we expected, to Apollo Rising on the outside. William Walden with Manny Franco as they load up for the 7th. Grandpa's Kid, second choice, the 5-2. Wow, now even money. Late hit on Apollo Rising.
Well, our morning line maker rarely gets these wrong, and he had him even money. We thought it was a little low, but when he comes in that short, he's usually right. I still agree, though, the 5-1, and I think he was 7-2 morning line. I think that's an overlay on the 6. I prefer the 7 horse for horse, but at the odds, the 6, I believe, is a better bet. Now it's 9-2 and 6-5.
Chris Griffin with the call. Here's the 7th from Aqueduct.
Hit it. All set. And they're off. Broken an even line. Collect from Ike has early speed. Also right there is going to be What a Blast. Joining them from the outside. They're Seeking Unity, looking for a spot. Is going to be about 4 wide as they work into that turn. Now a 3-way battle for the front as Seeking Unity catches that leading group. In between horses right there is What a Blast. And holding that rail position is the leader, Collect from Ike. It's Collect from Ike who's up by 3/4 of a length. There's What a Blast now. Well settled, stalking from second. Saving ground to the inside is Memphis. Memphis is tracking in third. Still a touch wide is going to be Seeking Unity as they hook up with the backstretch. Apollo Rising is now towards the back end of the field, is sharing that second to last position with Gut Feeling with the trailer. A wide Grandpa's Kid. 24 and 1 for the opening quarter mile. The big long shot. Collect from Ike has got the lead. Isaac Castillo and Collect from Ike. They're still up by 3/4 of a length with What a Blast is right there tracking this pace setter. Chasing them as well. Here comes the Orange Silks of Seeking Unity. At the rail progressing is Gut Feeling. Now shoved along is Memphis. Trying to keep up is in 5th. Apollo Rising, patiently ridden here by Manny Franco, starts to move forward, is now splitting rivals. Grandpa's Kid is following that move with less than a half mile to go. 49 seconds flat for the half mile time, and they turn up the pressure up front. Collect from Ike and What a Blast. They still go at it. Grandpa's Kid is going to rally 4 wide to the outside of Seeking Unity. Apollo Rising is just gliding right in behind this leading group. Apollo Rising needs a way through. It's Collect from Ike who's going to hold the rail position. What a Blast. Will the split come here for Apollo Rising in behind rivals? The leader is now Seeking Unity at the top of the stretch. Seeking Unity is kicked on. Grandpa's Kid is also rallying on the grandstand side. Now Apollo Rising gets some clear running room. It's still Seeking Unity who got the jump. Grandpa's Kid. Apollo Rising is now chasing and built some momentum. It's Seeking Unity trying to hold him off. Grandpa's Kid is catching with every stride. Grandpa's Kid. Grandpa's Kid. Look to get up in time. Grandpa's Kid in that photo with Seeking Unity and Apollo Rising. Final running time, 1:51 and 1.
Grandpa's Kid, Jose Lezcano for Randy Persaud. Gets his first win at 1 1/8 miles.
It's impressive. Last time he prevented himself from winning by lugging in when I bet on him. Today he didn't lug in and he ran down the 6, who I did bet on. It's a tough game, and he gets it done here, Grandpa's Kid. He just, I guess at the end of the day, maybe he just wanted the 1 1/8 miles a little tiny bit more than Seeking Unity. And I think the ride on Apollo Rising is what our friend the MIG likes to refer to as an unlucky ride, where Manny got him in good position, but he was blocked. And the problem was when he got him out to rally out there, the others still had some left, and he couldn't really catch him, and he lost so much position.
Especially early with that turn coming up so quick, was not able to secure saving in the ground early in the race. Tough day for Apollo Rising. Grandpa's Kid gets the money here at 5-2.
Yep, he did not lug in today. Bad enough to cost him the race like last time.
5, 6, 7, 2. Grandpa's Kid, the victory. 4-year-old son of Lemon Drop Kid, just his 3rd win in 19 career starts.
Seeking Unity ended up 3-1, by the way.
We'll have the prices for you when we come back. We'll set up the finale on the Friday card from Aqueduct. A lot more coming up from our Oaklawn coverage as well. Stay with us. We'll be back in our FS2 coverage.
Zandon's poetry in motion. Big horse, but light on his feet. And he's always showed up and been consistent and been right there with some of the top horses in training. In the Bluegrass Stakes, he showed his determination and his raw ability.
It's over. Zandon wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
I feel breeders will be really blown away by what a striking, outstanding looking horse he is.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Fair down 25, fair down 25, fair down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. It's Grandpa's Kid in the 7th with the victory. Jose Lezcano for Randy Persaud. Rayanna and Rhea Racing with this 4-year-old son of Lemon Drop Kid who gets the 3rd win of his career.
Yeah, he just was able to grind out the victory in a long stretch battle. Looked like the number 6 had the race won, actually, in this race, but he was able to get him down. He's still lugging in a little bit here, not as severely as he did last time. And Jose was able to straighten him out to just narrowly nip Seeking Unity, much to the dismay of a number of people here. And the 7 Apollo Rising, just a little bit of an unlucky trip.
Again, 5-6-7-2. So Grandpa's Kid with the victory. We still got the nightcap here coming up at South Ozone Park, New York. We had said earlier at the beginning of the show, we thought this was probably the best betting race on the entire card. Wide open finale.
I agree, it is. And, you know, talking about it, there's 3 horses that are dropping significantly in different fashions, well, or changes in fashions. One is the 9, Thank You, John, who's coming off a claim for Linda Rice and dropping, who should be the speed, who's got back races. There's Pineapple Man, who was eased last time in a claiming race the first time, something Mike Maker's good at. And even the 4 Agility off a claim by Wayne Potts.
Look at the morning line odds. Race 7 not official just yet. But Thank You, John. That outside post, and we'll see if Jose Lezcano gets this late double. He would expect is going to try and send and take command early. Linda Rice first off the claim with a horse who was, well, no one had a chance in that race last time out because Mandatory, who won again today, ran the race of his life back on February 16th with that 99 buy.
Right, exactly.
See if it's a different story today for Thank You, John. 3-1, the legend, the coach, D. Wayne Lucas, gearing up for potentially a big weekend. Lemon Muffin, her maiden win. Came on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. We'll see if she can add the fantasy, and he'll send out Just Steel for one more attempt to get into the Kentucky Derby.
For the running of the Arkansas Derby.
This Saturday, the road to the Kentucky Derby heats up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. America's Day at the Races brings you expanded on-site coverage from Oaklawn Park, featuring the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Don't miss all the action from 1 to 8 p.m. Eastern on FS2.
As always, brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. DeLucas, Hot Springs must visit. The best part, Raj, you're not riding anymore. You're retired. You can eat whatever you want.
That's exactly what I was thinking watching this. When I was a jockey, I would not want to see a commercial like that between my races. But now it's mouth-watering.
All you do is sit here now in this chair under the lights and the camera. You can eat all you want. DeLucas, tomorrow, Arkansas Derby. They'll be busting out of that starting gate. Mile and an eighth, 100 Derby points to the winner, 10 deep. While number 7, Muth, is the 8-5 favorite. Take a look at number 8, Just Steel, 15-1 on the morning line. The only colt, only 3-year-old to have competed in each of Oaklawn's Kentucky Derby prep races. Raj, a solid effort in the Smarty Jones, a solid effort in the Southwest Stakes. Things didn't work out in the Rebel. Can he bounce back?
I agree with something Paulie said yesterday. He believes that this horse is at his optimal best going a distance shorter than a mile. And as these races progress, the distance gets further and further, and he'll be facing the longest distance he's ever run in the Arkansas Derby. And that's what I think is the biggest factor for him to show his best race. I believe he's just a bit better going shorter. In fact, I looked at his pedigree real closely last night. He's by Justify out of an Australian mare. For me, I would love to see this horse on the turf one day. But rightfully so for the connections. They're trying for the best races for 3-year-olds are on the dirt, especially at this time of the year. So they're trying to see where he fits in amongst those top horses. But I just don't feel like he's at his best against the top horses going long on the dirt.
Wayne Lucas seeking a 3rd overall win in the Arkansas Derby. Have to go back 40 years to his first. Althea, the filly, who still has the record, still holds the record for the fastest ever Arkansas Derby. The female equivalent, the Fantasy, wide open. Keep prep for the Kentucky Oaks, $750,000 purse. Speaking of D. Wayne Lucas, Maggie Paul, tough post Lemon Muffin. She graduated, broke her maiden in the Honeybee. Can she do it again for the coach?
Yeah, teaming up with jockey Keith Asmussen, giving him his first greatest stakes victory last time out in that Honeybee. And Paul, you know, it's kind of like a full circle moment, I think, as Wayne gave Keith his first Oaklawn win over a year ago, and now they're teaming up again. Lemon Muffin, she broke through in style, but is she going to be good enough to take down this fantasy field?
You know, it remains to be seen. I thought her effort last time was tremendous. I think Blinkers have turned her around, number 1. She ran well in their race before that. But you can never underestimate a horse that's doing something for the first time, and that's what she was doing last time. She hadn't won a race. She was trying 2 turns for the first time, and she was loaded at the top of the lane, and she blew that field away. Now, this is a way tougher group. She's going to have to take a step forward. That's very encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely, and it really shows how much faith that Wayne Lucas, the Hall of Famer and legend, has in Keith, as he's going to be on Just Steel as well. But Lemon Muffin, I think she gets a real acid test tomorrow, Lafitte, if she is the real deal. Certainly looked good last time, though, in the Honeybee.
This is going to be one of my favorite subplots to follow tomorrow, Raj. Keith riding for D. Wayne Lucas, and not only the fantasy, but also the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah, and D. Wayne Lucas, throughout his years, he's shown a propensity to give young people opportunities. I won a Breeders' Cup race for D. Wayne myself when I wasn't really that much of a notable jockey. So he's the kind of guy that sticks with people, and it's fun to watch him give these opportunities to Keith.
How cool was that, going into a Breeders' Cup winner's circle, that young, just having won a Breeders' Cup race, and there's D. Wayne Lucas?
Yeah, he's a legend, and I always only ever dreamed of riding for him. So to be able to have the opportunity to ride for him and win, that was amazing. And I feel like if that's probably the feeling that Keith is feeling right now.
A lot of excitement tomorrow heading into the Fantasy and the Arkansas Derby. Live coverage right here on Fox Sports 2. Race 7 on the Friday program. Horses on track post-parade. Good allowance sprint. 3/4 of a mile, $65,000 purse. Payne, the 7-5 favorite. They'll make the turn. This was moments ago. Post-parade, there's Vodka Martini. Lightly raced Gelding. He's won 3 of 4.
Yeah, a now horse had a big win last time and looks like a good factor here.
There's Keith Asmussen. Payne, 7-5.
The favorite is running style is going to be dropping far off a pace. He's probably going to be reliant on a hot pace up front early.
GT 500 winner 2 back on synthetic.
A horse that always runs pretty good, should be sitting close to the pace, but been running against lower competition.
Chat-a-lot unraced since last October.
He is the speed of a speed in a race that really lacks speed, but the long layoff is a concern.
Manta Ray, winner at 20-1 right here last month in the slop.
Capitalized on a perfect trip last time, but definitely a horse that always runs decently.
You like Breslau a little bit, yes?
Yes, in this race, there's not much speed other than Chat-a-lot, and this horse should be sitting the perfect trip right off the speed.
Love those white socks he's got going. There's Infiltrator, lightly raced 5-year-old gelding.
Cutting back in distance and doesn't have much early speed, which I think is going to be something that you need to be close to the pace here.
And Rob the Rich, the 7-year-old, 10-time winner.
10-time winner. That's a horse that's consistently won races, even though they're at lower level. A winner is a winner.
11-1 currently, if you like. Rob the Rich. Infiltrator at 11-1. Let's circle back to the favorite in Payne with Keith Asmussen aboard for Steve Asmussen, his father. Crowd on hand, taking it all in. 60,000 expected tomorrow. Perhaps not that many here on this afternoon, but they'll be here tomorrow. Payne, however, on the 19th of February, coming from off the pace, Raj, and just going to miss by a head in the end.
Yeah, he ran a great race here coming out from off the pace. However, we need to take note that was an extremely fast pace up front. It was a 3-way speed duel, 21-2, right? And then these horses, it set up really good for him. And even so, he still wasn't able to seal the win. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect this race, because there's nothing evident on paper to let me expect they're going to go that fast up front early.
If necessary, is he versatile enough to be a little bit closer to the pace?
He has shown that he could be a little bit closer to the pace. However, sometimes when he's closer, it takes away from that oomph that he would have finishing.
Maggie, Paul, the favorite, Payne, trustworthy, question mark?
I feel like, Paulie, this is one of the lesser fields that he's faced as of late. I felt like he's been keeping very good company. He looks fine. Look, he's a horse that has been around. He's a 9-year-old now, man. I remember when he started his career for Chad Brown. But in New York, he's okay. But do you trust him? He is that late closing sprinter type.
He needs the pace to run into. When you code numbers-wise, you can go on any metric, like I always say, and he's got the best numbers.
Yeah.
He's 9, you make a good point, and he's winning his races little by little, and he's been able to get good trips up the rail. But if the pace does develop, he is, I would think, the one to hold off. And right now at 3-2, I don't know. I thought you could maybe beat him. He's the kind of horse, when they come from dead last, fuller fields are kind of better for him because the pace develops more.
Exactly, and that's what's murky in this race, right? What is the pace scenario? Sure. It feels like, as Raj was talking about, that Breslau could be the pace, but a horse that's coming out of a fastly run race over the slop, and Vodka Martini finally gets back to a fast track for the first time in 4 starts since his debut, which he won by 11 3/4 lengths at Evangeline. He was picked up last time. It felt like previous connections were nearly kind of just giving up on this horse in a way, but he blew that field away. He looks okay coming in here first off the claim for Carl Broberg. I wish he looked a bit better in his coat and his conditioning.
Yeah, when you look at the one's an ultimate gamble because this horse is really tough to read. This is a horse that won first time out. I don't care where you run at, but Evangeline Downs by 12 lengths. Then come back and wins. And then, ran okay in another race, but then was gone for a long time. And you wouldn't think this horse would go back in for 30. Runs a 1 on the sheets and a 90 buyer. Like, wow. And then Carl Broberg kind of sniffs it out and claims the horse for 30s. And he's so dangerous with Christian Torres, too, as well. They're 16% together. It seems like they win more. I don't know what to do with the one, Maggie. I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know if this horse is going to go towards the front, if this horse is going to show more speed. Alan Landry is been a trainer out in Louisiana for a long time. He's a very good conditioner. So I just don't know what we're going to get from one. Probably been off since January. We're going to be a little bit fresh and might show some speed from the inside.
I just thought could show some because that was such a quick pace last time out that he comes out of. I wish he looked better, Paul, because I would really like him if he did. Now, some other horses in here. The other Asmussen horse is Chattelot. He comes off of a layoff. Last time it could have been, I don't know, just because it was a hot day or something in Indiana. I don't know. But I noticed he got washy. He just looked really sweated up that day. Not what I'm observing from him coming back off the layoff. And maybe something just went awry, too, in that sprint race back in October. But I thought he looked really good coming off this break.
Well, he got his flower miles in last year, didn't he? He went from Sunland. He went to my hometown, the Phoenix Gold Cup, and ran 8th. Back here to Oaklawn, then the Lone Star on the Turf, then the Ellis, then to Indiana. So he was Steve's traveling horse. But the thing about it is when you have a horse in Steve Ashman's barn that's 1 for 15 in the last 2 years, that's just a big concern to me. And I don't know if this horse is the fast enough to get the front end. I would think Ricardo's got to push forward.
Yeah, he looks a little overmatched when it comes to some of his figures. Breslau, as Rajiv was saying, it seems like Manny Esquivel and, I mean, before Cipriano Contreras and now Steve Hobby, they have made this horse into a speed runner.
Yeah. And he's 6 for 16 lifetime. This horse likes to win races. Steve Hobby won a race yesterday, too. And both of you and I kind of find the 7 infiltrator. I actually would probably land on the 7 in here at 14-1 because of the value. I get the 2. But the 7's got a shot in here.
Love the turn back. Poulter came back in 1. And sometimes these horses like that turn back off that mile of feet.
Let's shake things up at 14-1. Infiltrator. Payne, the favorite, number 2. Asmussen's looking to go back-to-back 6-5 at post time. Matt Dinnerman standing by with the remainder of the load and call, the 7th, live from Oaklawn on Fox Sports 2.
Last 30 seconds of wagering. Chattelot second to last. Rob the Rich to round out the field in the Finnegan Racing colors. Here's Rob the Rich. We're ready to go. And Lara Vodka Martini off a little bit sluggishly. Chattelot sent hard for speed and grabs the lead, clears off. Chattelot's in charge by a length and a half early. GT 500 runs in second. Breslau parked outside of him. A gap of 2 to a line of runners. Vodka Martini. Payne is there. Manta Ray and a 4-deep Rob the Rich. That leaves Infiltrator to trail the field, 6 behind as they hit the half-mile marker. Chattelot on top by about a length. Breslau in a good position running in the second spot. GT 500 on a hold a little bit keen into the turn. Is down on the inside. Manta Ray joins him. Payne gets off the rail. He's 5th now with Rob the Rich. That pair is 4 lengths off the lead. Infiltrator passing Vodka Martini, who's at the back of the pack now. They round the far turn and approach the top of the lane. Chattelot joined by Breslau, and these two swing off the turn together. Manta Ray in the 3 path. Payne right behind the leaders, switching outside. Has 4 lengths to gain and a lot of work to do with a furlong to go. Breslau has pounced on Chattelot, takes the lead. Chattelot fighting from the inside. It's Breslau and Chattelot who's stubborn. Breslau and Chattelot head and head, nose and nose. Breslau on the outside, Chattelot on the inside. Breslau got it. Breslau with the head win late over Chattelot, Payne, and GT 500.
Exciting finish. Chattelot and Breslau in the end. Breslau able to edge away from Chattelot and go on to victory at 5-2. Raj, your top selection in this 7th race.
And perfectly executed by Manny Esquivel. I mean, exactly how I would have envisioned riding that horse is exactly what he did. Tracked just off the speed of Chattelot and just got the first jump on Payne.
Late charge from the favorite, Payne. Breslau in the 7th. Back to Aqueduct with Greg and Andy for this very competitive 8th race.
Yeah, thank you, Lafitte. And here comes our post parade. 7 furlongs, $25,000 winners of 2 life. The condition, the 2 horse. South Street.
We missed Tom Morley. He's looking to bookend the card. And South Street is money. Entry's taking money. I prefer the other half. But,
That's G Money.
Yeah, he's just a weird horse who's, I think they're a very bad second choice to me, honest with you. G Money is one of these horses, everything needs to go his own way.
You break second to the outside with Kendrick Carmouche. Quick hammer the 3.
Greg Wolf tried to get him in the winner's circle earlier today. He said to me, the only horse that can't win here is Quick Hammer.
And some very sharp handicappers like him.
I still agree. I happen to agree with you, though.
Agility. Wayne Potts.
I think he's a very interesting horse off the claim. He was a good horse who lost his form. Can he find it again for Wayne?
You better be joking. Linda Rice missed by a neck last start.
I am not joking. That was a much softer field than he faces today.
Chalky Cat for Mel Giddings.
This was Greg's wise guy horse, and I've always liked this horse, but he's a little overbet at his current 9-2. He's supposed to get twice that price.
8-1 morning line. Pineapple Man, I like the appearance. 6-1.
Great stats for Mike Maker, first time for a tag in New York, where he's got a big ROI and he wins over 30% of the time. I know it was easy last time. He's a massive overlay. He's
very good warming
He's coming
up.
down.
And there's Thank You, John, the favorite outside.
I thought he was the horse to beat. I agree with that. Don't love this price, but he was in way too tough last time.
Will he control from the outset under Jose Lezcano? Let's take a look at him in action back on December 1st.
Yeah, I think if he runs this race, he's going to probably win, but it's a bit of an outlier for him. Now, he's been in a new barn for Rick Dutrow, and I think his last race, not as bad as it looks, because he got blown away by Mandatory. We saw the third-place finisher, who's the other speed that day, win easily, improve his buyer point 17 points. Comes into Linda Rice's barn. I think she takes a realistic drop. Probably not a great claim for 40, fits for 25. 5-2, no bargain, though. I preferred him over the 4 and 8. I know you prefer the 8 Pineapple Man, but I just thought out of these 3 all sort of interesting horses, one of them at least would show up and probably win the race.
There he is, 5-2. Who looks the best? Let's find out from Mig.
Yeah, guys, I'm struggling with my notes here. The wind has picked up considerably. Very stiff headwind now down the backstretch. It'll be interesting to see what these early fractions are, because it has picked up a lot since the last race. We're going to start with the entry. Both of David Jacobson's horses, they just look outstanding. I mean, they really are making an incredible impression physically, and I'm going to go with my top selection as the 2BG Money. He's going to have to find his better form. His recent form really doesn't bear out what I'm seeing from a physical perspective, but I could not get past how well he's turned out. I feel the same about the 4 Agility, just making a really nice impression, first start off a claim, and it's never an indictment of former connections when a horse does well off the claim. It's more about sometimes horses just respond to a little bit of a change of scenery, a little bit of a different training schedule, maybe a little bit of a different feed program. I thought he was pretty interesting. The 4 Agility warmed up very nicely under Trevor McCarthy. And then the 7 horse, Chalky Cat. It might be Greg's wise guy horse, but I'm going to tell you, Chalky Cat, he's looking really good, Greg. I'm interested to find out what Jonathan thinks.
Thanks, Miggy. I'm going to go with the 9, Thank You, John. Towards the outside. It's a similar idea that I had previously with Seeking Unity, even though he was beat. When you see these trainers like Rick Dutrow and Linda Rice going in for horses, they see something there. There's something that they believe that they can do with a horse like this. And there was horses with Chad Summers, a lower percentage trainer, who they took for 40,000. And Dutrow never really did get it, Thank You, John, to kind of run the race that even the Chad Summers did. But then Linda came in for 40, and let's see if Linda can then take what Dutrow also saw and turn it into something. I like the outside draw. There's numbers in Thank You, John's past performances that are significant enough to be very, very competitive. I'm not crazy about the price, but in all fairness, there's no one else in here that really gets me going. The entry, the 2 and the 2B at 3-1, that doesn't make me feel any more warm and fuzzy than the 2-1 on the 9 does. I'm comfortable with the 9 here. Sure, I'd wish for a couple more points here, but it is what it is.
All right, Jonathan, see what happens here with Thank You, John. See if Jose Lezcano can wrap up this late double. As we look at the 2 move in quickly, let's go back to Magnificent Mile too, because we missed him in the post parade. 10-1 from the rail. Too big a price?
No, I thought he was the weaker half of the entry. I just don't know where his races necessarily wins here, but I did want to point out that Tom Worley upset the longest shot on the board in the small field in the first race today. He's looking to bookend the card.
Favorite from the outside post, it's the 9. Thank you, John. Linda Rice, first off the claim. Nightcap here on this Friday card from New York. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Running. Thank you, John. Is in. All set. And they're off. Agility shows early speed right out to the front, and there's Pineapple Man to join this leader. It's going to be Agility and Pineapple Man, joined by Thank You, John, who's going to be 3 wide as they work up the backstretch now. Just off of them is in the 4th spot. That's Quick Hammer. To the outside of that one is a snug hold on. G Munning is progressing from 5th. Then comes Magnificent Mile and those Pink Silks. It's a big gap already, about 5. Back to You Better Be Joking is towards the back end of the field with Chalky Cat and South Street. So they work up the backstretch, 22 and 4 for that opening quarter mile. They've got 4 furlongs left to go, and still up front, it's Agility. Agility is showing the way. Here to challenge is Thank You, John, moving to the outside of Pineapple Man. Tightly at the rail, Magnificent Mile is tracking in 4th. G Munning is now called upon for the effort from 5th. It's to the outside here of a shoved along Quick Hammer. It's going to try and follow the move here from Magnificent Mile as they're trying to catch this leader who went 45 and 4 for the half-mile time. Agility's got the lead and finding plenty so far. Agility and Trevor McCarthy, they turn for home. Here comes a challenge. Up on the outside, it's Pineapple Man. Pineapple Man, Magnificent Mile is just trying to get out of there and can't muscle on through. And Pineapple Man is going to get the jump. Trying to re-rally his Magnificent Miles. Trying to hang in there is Agility. Also rallying on his Chalky Cat. But Pineapple Man got the jump. It's Pineapple Man inside the final 16th. Pineapple Man will win the finale. It's Pineapple Man who gets it over Chalky Cat in a photo with Agility and Magnificent Mile. Finish 4th in 1 minute 24 and 3.
Pineapple Man somehow goes off at 7-1. Very big price on a horse with his resume. Able to get the win under Jose Gomez for Mike Maker.
This is the overlay of the century at 7-1 on this horse. I have no idea how this horse could be this price. He stalked the pace. It was a quick pace, and he was much the best in here. Thank you, John. Not aggressively ridden, but he was awful. He can't run anymore, unfortunately, for some of us. A brutal beat for second on Agility is Chalky Cat. Just did no running at all until he was picking up pieces in the late stages. Seems to have nailed Agility at the wire.
Pineapple Man, you had given out a stat on Mike Maker, too, doing this kind of move, dropping in for a tag, and it was a very good one.
Well, it's even better now. He was 10 for 31, first time for a tag in the dirt in New York, the 268 ROI. He's now 11 for 32, and the ROI went up around 290 here. And this is a preposterous overlay of this horse at 7-1. I mean, I'm shocked he was this price. Shocked.
8, 7, 4, 1. Pineapple Man, Chalky Cat, Agility, 1, 2, 3. Close out this card here in New York. More coming up, including the feature from Oaklawn. When we come back, Pineapple Man back and get his picture taken again.
Volatile in front as they pass the 16th pole. Volatile, victorious in the Vanderbilt, won by 2 lengths.
Tremendous amount of talent. with his win in the Vanderbilt, as well as a couple of his wins at Churchill Downs. Ran unbelievably fast. Very special family to me.
Perfect sire for 2-year-old sales. Just a gorgeous horse and throwing very athletic horses that I think will run.
In the Vanderbilt. General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit BelmontStakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
We're back on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Pineapple Man, Jose Gomez, Mike Maker drops this horse down to $25,000, and this horse gets a second win of his career.
Yeah, this is a shockingly big price on a horse that has not just one, but quite a few races that make him very much the horse to beat in here. And yes, I understand he was eased last time, but something obviously went wrong. And they did drop precipitously, but you look at that stat that we put up and we talked about, it's very clear when Mike Baker makes these drops, these horses often show up. He's now 11 for 32 with New York Racing Association over the last 5 years. First time for a tag on the dirt. And while people think more of Mike as a turf trainer because he has right turf horses, he obviously does well in situations on dirt, and this is only going to raise those numbers at a wild 7-1.
Big overlay to close things out. 8-7-4-1. Pick 4, just over $200.
Bigger price than Exactas. The Exacta before second was $54 for a dollar. Crazy.
Pick 5, just over $700, and $31.15 back in the pick 6 if you're able to put that combination together. Congratulations. That's it for Andy Serling. We'll see you back tomorrow. What time?
I will be on from 1 to 4. I'm on when you're not.
We'll see you then.
I look forward to
enjoy the rest of your night. A lot more
seeing you
coming
somewhere.
Up. Yes, in passing. Features still to come out at Oaklawn. Marathon on the dirt. And look who's back. Back in the States and back on dirt. Classic Causeway. Former Grade 1 winner on the turf of the Belmont Derby for Kenny McPeak. We'll have more next.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. And we have a beautiful day for the running of the Arkansas Derby.
This Saturday, the road to the Kentucky Derby heats up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. America's Day at the Races brings you expanded on-site coverage from Oaklawn Park, featuring the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Don't miss all the action from 1 to 8 p.m. Eastern on FS2.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to America's Day at the Races. We are proudly brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, on any time with your Naira Bets account, as we have live racing coverage from Oaklawn Park here on Arkansas Derby Eve, and a maiden special weight in the paddock getting ready to hit the track, as there are a duo of first-time starters. And I will admit that these are 3-year-old fillies facing some older company, but let's talk about them, because sometimes they do jump up if they're good enough and get the win over their older counterparts. As number 1, Tweetster, comes from that Mary Lou Whitney pedigree, daughter of Practical Joke out of Tweeterdini, who was unraced. This one half, though, to Mr. Keating, who is 1 for 5 in his career and a decent sprinter. Look, this filly comes in here incredibly fit for trainer Norm Cassie, and she has been so professional too. Now, the blinkers are on for this debut. I don't love that, but I'm okay with that with Norm. Mostly, I find he kind of knows which ones need blinkers first time out. It's not kind of trying to cover things up with a Band-Aid, if you will. If they need blinkers, they generally run well with them. And she's just done everything right, so she is taking a little bit of money down towards the inside, as Lindsay Schultz will also send out a first-time starter. Lindsay, not quite as well known for her first-time starters, but this one for 10 Strike, cleverly named California Roll by West Coast out of Sushi Girl. The dam has had 3 foals, 3 winners, very mediocre runners, but kind of like this filly. Very athletic, very nicely put together, fairly aggressive, is fit. I'm going to not say that she's a win candidate, but she's one that could run well here and make some noise. So I do want to take a look at a turnback runner in number 8, Ruby Queen, going for Steve Asmussen for the first time. Found this stat, first time for off the trainer change on dirt, route to sprint with maidens, super specific, but he is 4 for 16. This one 2-back sprinting, faced a nice one, a midshipman's dance. I love this turn back. She's smaller, she's shorter coupled, Ruby Queen, and she looks fantastic. I do think she's interesting, as Keith will be up for his father. As that sounds familiar, doesn't it, Liffy? It's the call to post. Post parade coming up next with you guys.
Playing your song, Raj.
My favorite. Time for
action.
It's
game time. It's game time.
Game time.
Post-parade brewing. Riders up, as you can see. Tweetstar, the first-time starter, you had a conversation with her rider, Ricardo Santana. What did he tell you?
Yeah, I ran into Ricardo last night, and he said he was really excited about this filly today. Thinks she's got some great potential. His only concern was the inside post for a first-time starter with so many horses in the race. So he said he expects to try to break her out fast and get to the front.
Is he usually a pretty good tout? Does he usually have a pretty good gauge on these things?
We're gonna find out. I put him on the block here, on the chopping block.
Ricardo Santana thinks she might be pretty good, Tweetstar. She'll kick off our post-parade in a moment. Fillies and mares. She is, as Maggie mentioned, the 3-year-old filly, one of 2 facing older. $115,000 purse here. And a 6-furlong sprint, 9 to 5 on Barstool Babe, number 4 for Ron Moquette. Has Time for Truth. Going in tomorrow's Arkansas Derby would be a first for Moquette. Barstool Babe here. There she is. All right, no pressure, Ricardo. We'll see how good Tweetstar is, at least in her debut here for the Mary Lou Whitney stable.
Don't make me look bad, Ricardo. Right to the front and improve your position.
It's his fault. You just don't kill the messenger. You're just passing along the information like a good analyst should. Golden Sugar, idle since last September.
Yeah, a long layoff, but run a couple credible races that could put her in contention here.
Church Service, an outsider, 22 to 1.
0 for 24 maiden. Beautiful horse on the track, but probably just needs a different company.
Barstool Babe, the favorite, second in her latest.
respectable race off a long layoff last time. Expected to move forward with this race under the belt.
14-1, first-time starter. Maggie liked what she saw, California Roll.
Yeah, and shows a bullet gate work in preparation for this race, so there's a lot to like here.
Vicky Rose trending in the right direction.
Yeah, Vicky Rose, one that would be sitting close to the pace, actually had some traffic last time and still managed second.
Ruby Queen for the Asmussens.
Big cut back in distance here. Blinkers off. Lots of changes. Trainer change, distance change, equipment change. Let's see what we get.
Back to the drawing board, some tinkering there. A more happy hour sideline since last January, so it's been a while. Then Hurricane Fire, a lightly raced 5-year-old mare.
Definitely going to be a part of the pace factor. Not sure if she's going to be holding on too good late.
Legia, the Jess's Dream 5-year-old mare.
Was the favorite last time off a 2-year layoff. Got a race under the belt. Might be able to step forward now with a race under the belt, right?
Competitive race. Baby Avery on the outside. Make the rider James Graham subbing for Joey Belmar, who's off his mounts the remainder of the afternoon. All right, so maiden special weight, $115,000 purse fillies and mares. Post time in 5 minutes. We check in with Paul.
Yeah, Lafitte, this is a tough little race here with some nice little fillies in here. And, well, Rajiv, I think Ricardo Santana told a lot of people about the one here because throughout the grandstand walking around, the one's kind of been the buzz horse. And, you know, when you're 3-1 right now and you're currently favored from the one hole, basically in a full field, and you're going to have to push probably from the get-go to get to the front end, I would think the one has got some quality here in Tweetster, a filly by Practical Joke that has worked a couple bullet drills coming into this race. So I do think it's a race between the 1 and the 4. Barstool Babe is a horse that is very, very good, JK. But the word is out on the 1 here, Tweetster, and that's what I'll go with because I just don't think anybody else here. I'm kind of looking for a first-time starter. Now the buzz is on the 1. I think if the horse gets out of the gate, it will be tough. But I know, JK, do you like anybody else in here?
No, look, I was on the 1-2 prior to Rajiv talking about Ricardo, talking about the horse. And I will say this, Ricardo is a pretty good tout. When I see him around town in Saratoga, he usually has some pretty good ideas. The last horse I can remember Ricardo gave me was Valentine Candy, who won it almost 3-1 opening day at Saratoga and is won 3 times at this meet so far at Oaklawn Park. Turned out to be a pretty good one. I will say this horse seems to be ready. Horse has worked, I think, 16 times. Now, that seems like a lot. There was a break in January to February, so there must have been a little bit of an issue. They probably had to slow down and then kind of start back over. But this horse has an unbelievable foundation. And it's always this way with first-time starters that have some talent. If they can pop away from the gate, that's where the race can be won or lost. I'm very curious to hear what Maggie has to say. We've been talking about what we've heard from Ricardo and the buzz and what we see on paper. Maybe Maggie can tell us something of what she sees in the flesh.
Well, I did do that in the paddock, JK, and it's continued out on the racetrack. When it comes to Tweetster, she is so well prepared for this debut, moving elegantly out on the racetrack, and she continues to drop in price. She is likely one that's going to take some beating because, honestly, I don't particularly like the looks of the favorite in Barstool Babe, but I want to point out a horse who is actually a shorter price than she was the last time they met. Actually, a fairly common race that many come out of, in which Bellajou was able to wire the field back on March 8th. That was a first-time starter, and now towards the outside, number 12, Baby Avery. Do note that James Graham will pick up the mount from Joseph Belmar, who I'm pretty sure is off the rest of his mounts for the day. But this horse was a shorter price first time out than Barstool Babe, who had the experience, who had the form to go on. And Baby Avery showed some speed. She broke running from the outside. She's going to have to do the same thing again, but kind of niggled at, just seemed a little green, little unsure of where to put her feet, and ultimately tired. She looked as though she needed the race too. She's a bit of a heftier filly and probably needed to race into fitness. Obviously, I'm a little bit at a disadvantage not having seen her first time out, but I like what I see today. She's fit, she's solid, good-looking filly, and I think a lot of times when there's smoke, there's fire. This filly took money first time out. She might be able to run. So bit of a long shot here, Lafitte, at 15-1, but certainly Tweetster, she's a shorter price one that has done everything right in this debut.
Ricardo's reputation on the line. Tweetster at 5-2. Baby Avery has several options. It's that kind of race. Wide open maiden affair. There's a Ruby Queen here, Raj. What do you make of her chances for the Asmussens?
Well, she's doing a complete makeover, right? Lots of changes here. The one thing I must say about her is she's pretty inconsistent. You look at her running lines. She ran a great race first time out, threw in a clunker in her second race, then rebounded with a great run, and then threw in another clunker. In that trend, it seems like she's going to run a good race today, right? She got the clunker out last time. But with that inconsistency, I think she's going to need to bring her A game to even have a chance in here. And because she's not that consistent, I wouldn't bank on that.
Like you said, but if that trend does continue, bodes well for her chances today and for the Asmussens. And naturally, on an Arkansas Derby Saturday, you would imagine Steve would be very busy. His stakes runners, he has 6 of them going total, 3 in the Arkansas Derby. Long shots, Raj. Dematic is 20-1. A couple of 30-1 shots. Informed Patriot and Imperial Gun, which, love this theme music, by the way. Which of these do you give the best chance to be a factor in the Arkansas Derby?
Well, of his 3 long shots, I actually prefer the longest of the long shots, which is Imperial Gun. I believe Imperial Gun will be the biggest price of all the 3 horses, but the one that I think has the most promise. He had a great run to break his maiden on December 31st by 5 lengths, which made him the favorite in the allowance race the last time. And he didn't run his A race. He was a big favorite. However, that's come back to be a key race. We saw the second place finisher, Maximum Magic, go gate to wire yesterday and gutted out a really strong win. So he might be better than he looks on paper.
Talking about Imperial Gun, Asmussen. See, that's the whole key. The younger fans, the next generation, bring them out to the track early. Bring them out young. Especially on a weekend like this, Arkansas Derby, something for everybody here at Oaklawn Park.
Once you get the horse racing in your bloodstream, it's hard to get it out. It's so captivating. But, you know, with this race here, one of the things that I know Ricardo was mentioning to me is that the only thing he fears is that being on the inside, if he doesn't get away well, and the outside horses come over, it might get some crowded. However, what is very favorable to him is that his stablemate is drawn to his outside, number 2, Golden Sugar. Golden Sugar might prove to be a nice blocker for him before the crowd comes over.
Advance that a little bit. How so? A blocker, how so?
They're from the same trainer. Usually like that, you would want to not pressure your stablemate.
So maybe like run some interference outside so the first time starter gets a cleaner run, maybe something
well,
like
at
that?
least hold off the pressure until Tweetster gets established in the event that Tweetster doesn't get off well.
Not impossible. Wouldn't be the first time we've seen it, for sure. The Norm Cassie trainees breaking side by side. Tweetster. Ricardo Santana says she's pretty good. We'll see what she does in her debut. The favorite, Barstool Babe, trying to graduate in her 7th career start. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Post time for the 8th, live from Oaklawn Park.
Baby Avery to the outside. We're ready to go. And Leroff. Tweetster was off a little bit slowly from the inside. Hurricane Fire rushes out to grab a short lead on Baby Avery. Alicia, these 3 across the track. The 3 runners that broke from the far outside post gets towards the rail, and these 3 line up at a fast and contentious pace. Tweetster, after the slow break, makes her way into 4th now, and she's running at least 5 lengths off the trio up top. A gap of 3 to Church Service and Ruby Queen. Golden Sugar is next in the field along with Mo Happy Hours. Then comes Barstool Babe 3rd last. California Rolls 2nd to last, and Vicky Rose has dropped to the tail under pressure as they round the forward turn. On the lead, Hurricane Fire, a narrow advantage. It's about a half length. Alicia's 2nd. Baby Avery scrubbed upon in the 3rd spot. Tweetster has gotten a great setup. She broke slowly but tries to come on while racing alone for the last half mile. Cuts the corner as they come down the lane. Hurricane Fire at 14-1 tries to seal the deal, but Tweetster is coming on now. Hurricane Fire, after the fast pace, is leg weary, and Tweetster's going to blow on by. Tweetster, the first-time starter by Practical Joke, opening up the score, and Tweetster is going to win going away. Tweetster coming home powerfully under Ricardo Santana Jr. Hurricane Fire holds second. Barstool Babe was third. Vicky Rose rallies for fourth.
Ricardo tell you if he likes anything else later today or tomorrow?
That was it. But just like he said, exactly. He knew he was working this horse. He knew her like a book. He thought that she might get away a little slow, which she did.
She did.
But he rode her with confidence, gave her a chance to get herself onto her, and then he never even had to uncock the stick. I mean, she was just doing this running in the hand.
Impressive.
Very impressive.
All jokes aside, Tweetster, winning trainer, Norm Cassie, there he is, has to be proud of what she just did for the Mary Lou Whitney stable. The Practical Joke, first-time starter. She found another gear. It looked like the long shot on the lead had a chance to steal this thing. Hurricane Fire. Tweetster hit another gear, and in a blink, she was by her, widening and drawing away.
You could see from Ricardo's body language coming off the turn, he wasn't worried about the horse that was 4 lengths in front of him. He felt like he had a lot of horse, and he felt like he had it measured. You can see it because he was composed. He still hadn't really gone down and got to an aggressive ride. So that made me see like he felt like he had it right where he wanted.
Such a great moment. Thinking back to opening day Saratoga 2021, the first time with fans back in the stands after the pandemic, and seeing those colors, Pretty Birdie, trained by Norm Cassie, winning the opening day Schuylerville. What that moment meant for everybody close to the filly, for Norm Cassie, is still when he talks about that moment at Saratoga and what that represented to the sport, and Saratoga feeling like Saratoga should feel with a packed house.
Yeah, the owner of this horse, Mary Lou Whitney, she has been such a massive influence to Saratoga racing and just the sport in general. And that was like a story just perfectly aligned to be able to win, for her to win that race on that day.
Such a legacy. What a moment that was. What a filly that might be. Tweetster at 3-2, sensational in her debut. Ricardo Santana, reputation intact as a tout. She delivers. Got hammered late. 1-10-4-7 in the 8th at Oaklawn Park. When we come back, Kentucky Derby prep races overseas in Dubai, the UAE Derby. U.S. represented. Pandagate rolling around feeling good. The New York bred by Arrowgate. Arrowgate was pretty good in Dubai. That's next.
Has won the hopeful.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
America's Day of the Races, our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. We just saw a very impressive first-time starter. 3-year-old filly did not break well, did not matter. Tweetster from the rail in the debut. Dominant.
You see a lot of first-time starters win impressively going gate to wire. But when you see a horse break slowly from the rail, take kickback from their rivals, come through along the inside, angle out to the outside, and finish the way she did, this speaks not only of her ability, but of her tenacity, the fact that she could overcome adversity in her first start. And just to get back to what Rajiv was saying, Ricardo Santana was taking peeks behind him before he even caught the leader, so he knew what he had underneath him, and Tweetster was very impressive.
Pretty famous silks to be wearing as well.
It's just so good to see those Mary Lou Whitney colors continue on, and you know, John Hendrickson keeping that alive for us, and as racing fans, and for anybody who knows the history of Saratoga and what Mary Lou Whitney meant to that town and how she really revitalized it in so many ways.
She's the reason it's still around.
Absolutely. When I first got to Saratoga, Greg, there were houses on Union Avenue that were boarded up. And people weren't so keen on going to Saratoga in the summer. Mary Lou Whitney single-handedly changed that.
Mile-and-a-half stakes race up next. The Temperance Hill Purse of $200,000. 4-year-olds and up, and Classic Causeway. Back in the States after a trip overseas. Couple of starts at Ascot. Paddock did not go well on the grass. Back to dirt. Back to the States here for Kenny McPeak.
Yeah, and stretching out to this, mile-and-a-half distance, which he has run at before, but on the turf. And he is a horse that likes to control things on the front end. And when he gets very comfortable, he's able to continue. He's certainly getting class relief from what he faced over in Europe. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the mile-and-a-half on the dirt.
By the way, that's Richard Migliori back with me on the desk. He was reporting all day. You're doing everything for us. Good to have you up here. This race named after a horse that a lot of people just thought was a fluke. Won the final leg of the Triple Crown back in 1980. Turned out was not a fluke at all. I paid $108.80 for the win that day, beating the Derby and Preakness winners in Genuine Risk and Codex. Wound up becoming the champion 3-year-old, adding races like the Travers, Super Derby, and Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Yeah, he showed he was no one-hit wonder. And Eddie Maple with the first of his Belmont Stakes wins here for Joe Canty, who we recently passed away. But Hall of Famer Eddie Maple on a horse that just took a long time for this horse to kind of figure the game out. He was a horse that needed a lot of urging. Eddie had to put him in a drive basically at the half-mile pole in this Belmont Stakes. But then to come back and string together the victories he did, particularly his Travers, I thought was extremely impressive. And I was just a kid getting ready to ride at that point. And I remember when he won the Travers, Eddie Maple threw a party at the inn spot at the time, the Rafters. And even though I was underage to get in, I used to give the bouncers their tips, and the horses would win. And I was in there. I was in the Rafters that night, underage, and I saw Eddie Maple and his party there. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Little did I know that Eddie Maple and I would become such good friends.
Incredible. And he wound up being a pretty good 4-year-old as well. Temperance Hill added some races like the Suburban, Razorback, Oaklawn Handicap. Really started to come into his own. We have a big Derby prep over in the UAE tomorrow, and a New York bred making that trip. You saw him going to break, rolling around in the pen. Panda Gate for Christophe Clement. Curious spot for that barn especially to send a 3-year-old all the way overseas to make a Derby prep.
You know it is, but I think a couple of factors are at play here. One, the mile and 3/16 certainly plays into this horse's strength. He's a horse, son of Arrogate. That's a long stride, and he's not going to have any issues with the distance at all. He has a great deal of stamina. The other thing is he's a gelding. And this is a big purse. And you're basically, there's one horse that really looks very tough there, the Japanese runner, right?
Forever Young.
Forever Young. After that, it's not the strongest edition of the UAE Derby. So you're not looking at, black type from a horse that maybe has potential value as a stallion. You're looking at a gelding that's trying to bankroll some money. Plus the connections, Adelphi Racing, Matt Kater, this group, they want to have fun and they want to experience racing, and they're all over there and enjoying an adventure to Dubai with a horse that is legitimate. This is a colt with a horse with a lot of ability, a gelding with a lot of ability.
Probably outside of Forever Young, and Forever Young incredibly talented, who won the Saudi Derby Group 3. Much the horse to beat. This might be the second choice in the race, and you never know what can happen. Mile and 3/16 could play just into his hands as well, and we'll see if he steps up, runs a big one. If they have a decision on their hands, what to do that first Saturday in May. Let's hear from part of that ownership group that you just mentioned.
Certainly when we bought this horse, I didn't expect to be in Dubai, in the spring of his 3-year-old season. We try to buy New York breds to run in New York and to run in those New York restricted races. That's the goal, and we thought he'd be a nice horse for that. To have him run so well on debut, and then obviously to win the Gander the way he did, to put us in this position to take a shot here, it's just exhilarating and a lot of fun. We've got a pretty close-knit group partnership for having 80, 90 people across all our horses, and we like to text back and forth, and we've got group chats and all that sort of stuff. And I can honestly say the last week they've been busier than usual. Everybody's excited. People are posting on social media and that we're sharing and stuff like that. So it's just been fun, the camaraderie of it. We've got some partners flying in today. We've got some partners flying in tomorrow and Friday. So kind of scattered when everybody's getting in, and it'll be a fun lead up to the race, I'm sure.
It just adds a lot of extra intrigue to this race, especially for everyone in this New York area to have a New York bred head to this UAE Derby. It has traditionally not been a productive path to the Kentucky Derby, but as you mentioned, just the purse alone, $1 million for this race makes it exciting.
The purse alone, and again, a deep partnership, a lot of people that really love the game, and they are having the time of their life with it. And I should mention, this was a Joseph Migliore bloodstock selection. He shortlisted this horse for Christophe Comant, and I know my son's pretty excited about it. He would actually be over there, except they're expecting their second child any day now. And this is a legit horse. This is a horse that really has a great deal of ability, and I think he's still a work in progress. I think you'll see a good effort from him here, but I think he's going to be a better horse going forward.
It's going to be just the fourth start of his career coming up. Obviously, the horse to beat of this race, as we talked about, Forever Young. He's got the outside post to deal with, but he ran a race that if he can repeat it, it was only at a mile. Going to go a mile 3/16 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everyone else seems like they're going to be running for second in that UAE Derby. But you got to prove it on the racetrack. Up next, Temperance Hill feature on this Friday card from Hot Springs. We'll get back to our group at Oaklawn right after the break with the post parade for the Temperance Hill right after this.
Something new, something different, and exciting. The Belmont Stakes at Saratoga, June 8th, limited tickets still on sale. For details, visit NYRA.com. The Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. How cool is that going to be? Excited? Fired up?
I am fired up for this. Saratoga is one of the greatest places to be, and to be able to take the Belmont Stakes and fuse it with Saratoga, I think it's a match made in heaven.
Well said. Well said. Who knows? Maybe a bid on a Triple Crown at Saratoga in the Belmont Stakes. Maybe an Arkansas Derby. We'll be there trying to win a Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. There have been several over the years. You look at that list, Raj, and I mean, yes, Triple Crown race winners, but American Pharoah, Triple Crown winner, Curlin, Fleet Alex, Smarty Jones, like absolute superstars that have emerged from the Arkansas Derby and done some damage on the Triple Crown Trail.
Yeah, the winners of the Arkansas Derby has always been very instrumental to the Kentucky Derby and to the rest of the Triple Crown races. They've always made a major impact on the Triple Crown Trail.
As for this year's edition, the field, it is a strong one with 10 of them going. Muth, 8-5 morning line favorite. Timberlake, strong second choice at 9-5. And then there's the deep closer, very talented. The farther, the better, we would think. Paula Duca, Liberal Arts. What do you make of his chances tomorrow afternoon? Liberal Arts, and here he is, Raj. This was in the Southwest Stakes, and trying to put in a solid late run from well off the pace, as he normally does.
Yeah, this win in the Street Sense Stakes was a very impressive performance. He took a lot of dirt in his face, and he pulled away in the stretch. It was also his first time around 2 turns, so he showed an affinity for more distance, which I think is going to be his best asset.
Will the pace be hot enough to set the table for Liberal Arts in his late closing kick?
That's a combo factor of what the other jockeys do, right? I expect for sure at least an honest pace with the Ron Moquette horse going out on the lead. And Muth has so much natural speed that there's no way that he's too far off the pace, which I think will enhance the pace and give the best chance for Liberal Arts to close in.
Paul, what do you make of his chances tomorrow afternoon, Liberal Arts in the Arkansas Derby?
Well, I think he's got a giant shot, to be honest with you. If I would go outside of the 3 main horses in the field, obviously Mystic Dan, Muth, and the other runner in there who I'm forgetting. But, you know, Liberal Arts, to me, is a horse that, you know, was very well touted last time. If you look at his race, he was like 4.5 to 1. He was actually the favorite on the board when actually the betting opened. And, you know, Robert Medina is really high in the source. This is the son of Arrogate. We've lost Arrogate way too young, and I think he's going to appreciate the distance to ground. I don't really know if he actually loved the slop. He's kind of a big sort, too, as well. I think he'll get some pace to run into. So I think he, outside the big 3 that we've been talking about, he's the one, for me, that can maybe upset the apple cart.
Liberal Arts, yeah, that was his win in the Street Sense on a wet track. He did have that bang-up third-place finish in the Southwest Stakes, and the longer the distances go, there's confidence building knowing that he figures to thrive in longer races.
Yeah, and like we talked earlier, the races are going to get longer and longer, right? We're going to 1.8 miles now, which is the longest distance for all these horses, and if he does well here, he's going to the Kentucky Derby, potentially, which is 1.25 miles would be the longest distance. And that, I think, is where he's going to be at his optimal best.
That's tomorrow's Arkansas Derby. Time for the Friday feature here, the Temperance Hill, horses in the paddock. Maggie standing by. And Maggie, welcome back, Classic Causeway.
The World Traveler Classic Causeway in here, Lafitte, and a horse that he typically doesn't mind which surface he's on. He generally runs well, but I do think at 1.5 miles, coming back off this, near 8-month layoff, I do think it's going to be a little bit challenging for him at this distance, because on the dirt, I've always felt as though he's a horse that's a little bit better going shorter. I will say this, sometimes a horse that in the past he would get himself really revved up and on his toes, really calm today. Now, whether that's just maturity, you know, just getting older now that he is a 5-year-old, or is he ready to tackle these longer distances? I don't know. He looks fantastic. And he looks as fit as you can possibly have a horse coming off a layoff of this length. But again, I think dynamics make it a little tough for him, being on the far outside with another speed horse and speed bias present. So I'll take the wait and see approach, though. I'm excited to see him back and do think that maybe shorter distances on the dirt could be in his near future. Moving on to number 13, Red Run. Speaking of ones returning to the dirt, this guy posted some pretty nice numbers and a good finish in the Isaac Murphy Marathon at Churchill back in May. And then, you know, his 2 races in New York in the Grade 2 Suburban in Brooklyn were good. Even the Suburban, when he got to the lead and then he was passed by the eventual favorite and winner that day while he was down on the rail. It felt like you didn't necessarily want to be on the rail. And he's a horse that is so unassuming. He's smaller. He's not your typical marathon physical of an animal, but he looks better than ever than what I've ever seen from him in the past. Again, the outside post is going to be tricky, I think, Lafitte, in this configuration.
Looks the part. Tough post, as you mentioned. We'll see how it all unfolds in this Temperance Hill post time in 8 minutes. When we return on this eve of the Arkansas Derby, Flavien Prat back in Hot Springs. Rode Angel of Empire to victory in last year's Arkansas Derby. A date with Timberlake tomorrow afternoon. First things first, Prat to ride Speed Bias in the Temperance Hill. Next on America's Day at the Races.
Early voting comes inside. He wins the Preakness. Disarm takes the Met win. And Tima, they win the Bet Park Pennsylvania Derbies.
Wicked Halo, who wins the Raven Run Stakes.
Nobody catching Society.
Red Route 1. Cyberknife has won the national over Tama and Ghana in the foregoal. Sierra Leone on the outside for Tyler Gaffleon. Sierra Leone.
2,300,000.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our Friday Fox Sports 2 coverage feature. Coming up from Hot Springs in the 1.5 mile Temperance Hill. $200,000 purse, 4-year-olds and up. In the 7 right now, the 8-5 favorite. That is Speed Bias. The very talented Flavien Prat will be in the irons for Ron Moquette, a horse who can be forward and maybe dictate things on the front end. We start, though, our post-parade with Decision Maker.
Making his first start for Mike Maker, a trainer that's very proficient with stretching horses out. Jay Provenzano's Flying P stable. Jay, very astute at picking out horses that stayed marathon distances. This horse does not usually break very well, though. That's problematic.
It's a distant fourth in a 1.5 mile race at Churchill last year. His only attempt going that distance. OP Firecracker, Ramon Vasquez.
Well, it gets class relief. He does come out of the Razorback where he faced pretty strong competition. Has never raced this far.
Double Crown, huge price at 45 to 1.
Another one that's just stretching out. And will that be effective for this horse who likes to lay up fairly close?
Gamekeeper, the 5, he actually faced winners too. Back, he was still a maiden. He came back, dropped in class, and actually broke his maiden in his 12th start.
Well, this just feels like the coach, Wayne Lucas, feels like this horse wants to run this marathon distance. Let's see if he's good enough.
This might be the horse to round out your superfecta. Has been 4th in this race each of the last 2 years.
Yeah, in the Temperance Hill last year as well. Has run the distances, does have a win at the distance.
Speed Bias could be the one leading the way under Flavian Pratt.
Yeah, he's a horse that likes to be forward. He runs his best race then. He could have company on the lead, though.
Masked Parade, Robertino Diodoro second off the claim.
Yeah, and this is a horse that's stretching out to this distance for the first time. It would be interesting to see how he comports himself.
Command Performance, 15-1 for Joe Sharp.
Yeah, another one. Again, everybody kind of experimenting here. Can they get the distance?
Here's another one trying it for the first time. Master Game for Grant Forster.
Yeah, been closing at shorter distances like a mile and a 16th, mile and 70. That doesn't always translate to the mile and a half.
Classic Causeway was on the Triple Crown Trail a few years back. Then they moved him to turf. He won a grade 1 on the grass, and they tried him there over at Ascot overseas.
Well, I think he holds the key to the race, particularly for Speed Bias, because he's a horse that's most comfortable when he's allowed to kind of run freely, and that could spell, a problem for him and Speed Bias if they get engaged.
And Red Run, even though he's not won at this distance, probably has the best resume of running a mile and a half in the group.
Yeah, I really this is who I favor. I'm not crazy about the post, but I know he's proficient at the distance, and I think he gets the right setup. I think he's going to be in a good stalking spot.
8-5 favorite as we send it to Paulie. It's Speed Bias with the talented Flavian Pratt. Does he control here, Paul?
That's a good question, Greg. I'm actually surprised that Speed Bias is your favorite in here. Maybe they're thinking this horse can take this field, gate to wire. I don't know. I don't see it. And, Mig made a good point. There's a lot of horses in here that are trying a mile and a half. There's only one horse in here, the 6, that has won at a mile and a half. Now, Red Run is obviously one going distance to grounds on the turf as well. And I think he's squarely the horse to beat here, the 13. You don't really love the draw, but you get a complete run-up all the way up. And we are finishing at the first wire. I think the 13 is the horse to beat. But the horse I'm betting is the 10 in here, Command Performance. And I heard Greg go, Command Performance, because I know Greg likes his horse a little bit. Because if you go back and you look, mile and a 16th, second to first mission, comes back at a mile and 1/8 with Luis Saez, beats a field escapologist. His last 3 trips have been, wow, disastrous. He had a bad beginning in the start before that. When he ran 3rd for Time for Trouble come back to run and was flying at the end at a mile in his last race because he wants to go a distance to ground. And then he just got left in the gate. It was a long time loading, and he just kind of just sat in the gate. The 10 is a viable option here at 14-1 to get JK. I'm just looking for somebody because I cannot trust the 7 and the 12 in here. Both with the same running styles. I think the 13 is the horse to beat, but I think the 10 is a great bet at 14-1.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go one horse inside of you and raise you on your 14-1 and go 32-1, a little head-to-head. Paulie, I know you'll accept it even though you're off camera. We'll go 9 versus the 10. I'm going to take the 9. Look, you look at horses like Lone Rock, you look at horses like Next. They were just horses until they started going far. Long distances on the dirt. I don't know if Mask Parade is going to be that, but at one point he was a talented racehorse, and he's trying something new for a trainer who has success doing this. I'm going to give him a little bit of a shot at 32-1. I'm not cutting in line to bet hundreds of dollars on this horse to win, but I do want to have a little bit of something on this horse to win. I'll go with the 9. Lafitte?
You're nodding your head in agreement over there, Raj, regarding JK's top selection, Mask Parade.
I mean, these guys make some valid points when you really listen to what they're saying. I agree that this is going to be an important early part of the race. It's going to be a cat and mouse game between Flavian Pratt on Speed Bias and Classic Causeway with Brian Hernandez. And if they get in too much of a tussle early, it could set it up for one of these closers to pick up the pieces.
Classic Causeway 9-2 currently. We check in with Maggie.
Here with Kenny McPeak, sending out Classic Causeway on the comeback trail. Kenny, this horse has done pretty much everything that a horse can do in one's career. Talk a little bit about coming back and targeting this spot, because a mile and a half off of a layoff on the dirt can be demanding.
Well, look, he has been a really special horse to be around. You know, last year we got incentive to bring him over to Europe, and we tried that. And in all honesty, you know, we wish we could, you know, redo that thing. But he's been a nice horse to be around. We gave him a break when we got him back. He has trained exceptionally well for the last month. I know it's a long way around there, but we all know, I mean, you can look at his form. We know where he's going to be early. We know how he likes it. Whether he gets tested the first half, 3/4 of a mile, it's up to these guys on the backs right now. But he's a lovely horse to be around, and look, it might be a spot that I think he could redeem himself and get going again in a positive way.
You also are well represented in the Arkansas Derby tomorrow. Winner of the Southwest, Mystic Dan. He moved beautifully, Kenny. I mean, like everybody on the planet saw how well that horse moved over the slop. Can he do it on a dry track? He is one that has shown he can do it at least sprinting.
Well, his 5.5 race was wicked fast. He can run over any surface. But the thing about him is his ability to move quickly through a hole. I mean, he's got such great turn of foot. It took us a couple of races, 3 races to get him kind of retooled to go longer. But I think we've got his mind in a great place right now. He's a fantastic horse to be around, real easy keeper, and it's going to be an exciting weekend. I think they're going to have to run really, really fast to beat him.
Well, that is a good attribute to have, being able to be pliable, especially when you're heading towards a Kentucky Derby. Well, Kenny, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck here and tomorrow.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Guys.
Mystic Dan tomorrow, Classic Causeway here. Raj, what are we looking for early?
We're looking for 2 key things early. First of all, how does the pace develop between the number 7 Speed Bias and the number 12 Classic Causeway? And secondly, how far wide does Red Run get stuck going into that first turn? Does he have to take back and drop in? Does he get hung 5 wide, or does he try to sit a little bit closer to the pace?
As the coach looks on, Dwayne Lucas. Post time for the Friday feature, all set for the Temperance Hill. Matt Dinneman standing by.
Number 1, the inside and the outside. We're ready to go. And they're off. In the Temperance Hill Stakes, Decision Maker was off slowly from the inside post. Strong Tide has speed and takes the lead. Classic Causeway moving up, and there goes Classic Causeway to the front. Classic Causeway into the 4 turn for the first time. Opens up the lead to a 1.5 lengths. Red Run comes out of the pack to take second. Speed Bias a little bit keen, taken back to third. Master Game is parked outside of him. Mask Parade is 3 wide on the course. He's 5 off the pace in the early stages. Gamekeeper coming off a maiden win, facing winners for the first time today. He's in midfield as they come to the top of the lane for the first time. Strong Tide was prominent early, has been taken towards the back of the field. Command Performance, the gray, is there as well. So is Double Crown as they come by us for the first time. OP Firecracker behind horses and a big space back to Decision Maker, who's at the back of the pack. That race will end at the 16th pole, so 1 lap to go. And Classic Causeway paves the way. Went 24-2 for the first quarter, 49-1 for the half. Classic Causeway into the turn. The clubhouse turn, about 2 ahead now. Red Run second, Speed Bias racing third, Master Game to the outside of him. A gap of 2 to Gamekeeper, Mask Parade. They're side by side. OP Firecracker, Strong Tide are next as a pair. Another 1.5 lengths to another duo. Double Crown inside of the gray, Command Performance in a space of 7 to Decision Maker, who's well out of it as they swing up the backstretch. 3/4 in 1:13 3/5 seconds. An honest pace, but not a speedy one, set by Classic Causeway for this 1.5 mile distance. Leads 3/4 of a length now. Red Run in a good gallop, running in second right behind him. 1.5 lengths to Speed Bias. Master Game has come under a ride now, approaching the half-mile pole. Gamekeeper, Mask Parade, and OP Firecracker getting closer. OP Firecracker in the 3 paths, 6 off the lead with a duo into the turn. Strong Tide not going to get it done. Command Performance plotting in place. Double Crown has called it a day. Decision Maker has yet to pass a runner as they round the 4 turn. Here's a run from Red Run, and he's up to challenge Classic Causeway. Remember, this race went at the 16th pole. Speed Bias third. Mask Parade getting closer, shaken up. He's in with a shot at a price, 19-1 as they come to the top of the stretch. Classic Causeway off the turn in front. Red Run. Here's Mask Parade between horses, running a huge one. He's a stayer, and he's staying on nicely. Classic Causeway still going. Mask Parade trying to reel him in. Classic Causeway, Mask Parade surging on the outside. It's going to be tight. right. These two hit the wire together. Harry Hernandez thought he got it. He's pumped up on Mass Parade, and I think he got it over Classic Causeway, and an upset. Speed Bias third, OP Firecracker fourth.
A thriller in the Temperance Hill. Mass Parade, Classic Causeway, throwing it down in deep stretch at 19-1. Raj Bali's top selection. Mass Parade, did he get there?
Great pick by Paulie, and he looks like he just got up.
Harry Hernandez thinks he got there.
Yeah, Harry Hernandez is celebrating, and I see a reason why he should be. I'm going to call it that. He did get up. Classic Causeway also hung in pretty strong the whole way for a horse coming off such a long layoff to run at this extended distance. Well, what a nice run from Masquerade.
Harry Hernandez at the wire. He knew it. With a finish that close, Jonathan Kinchin's top selection, JK's top selection, Mass Parade.
JK, sorry.
JK's top selection, yeah. When it's that close, when you've been in those situations, do you know?
You can tell. For the most part. I've never been in a photo finish that I thought that I won and didn't win.
Never.
But maybe once or twice.
There was no question on Harry Hernandez's mind with Mass Parade, and hats off to Classic Causeway. The time off, this unconventional path to a race like this, the Temperance Hill, and nearly pulling it off.
Yeah, it's a long way around here to go gate to wire, but he almost pulled it off, and a race that you think he'd move forward off, getting this race under his belt. But this might be a distance specialist Masquerade.
It's in deep stretch, that late run with Harry Hernandez. JK's top selection, 19-1 by a nose over Classic Causeway, 9-12, 7-13. Classic Causeway still strong, digging, finding, but Mass Parade, Raj, just able to scratch his way to a slight victory in the end.
And this is the kind of distance that's the running style that you want. You want those steady grinders that could just maintain that pace over a long course of distance. Those are usually the horses that are the most efficient at these marathon distances.
All smiles, and rightfully so, from Harry Hernandez. Mass Parade, 19-1. Well done, JK. 9-12, 7-13 results when we come back. Plus, Smarty Jones. What a colt. What a story. Where does the time go? 20 years since the Smarty Party. We'll look back next. You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Dust settling following that stirring performance. Mass parade with an upset in the Temperance Hill. You'll hear from the winning connections in just a moment. But first, a look back at Smarty Jones. And yes, it has been 20 years since he was able to pave that way from Oaklawn Park to Churchill Downs. He had won the Southwest Stakes. He had won the Rebel. And what followed? The test of his young career at the time in the Arkansas Derby.
Why did I name him Smarty Jones? He was born on February 28th, 2001. February 28th was my mother's birthday. And didn't want to name him Mildred, but I did want to name him after my mother. When she was a little girl, she spent a lot of time with her grandparents, Mama and Papa Jones, and Papa would say to my mother, "What's your name, little girl?" And she would say, "Mildred Evelyn McNair." And he would say, "No, Mildred Evelyn McNair, Smarty Jones." Then I thought, Smarty Jones, I like that. Has a nice ring to it. And I asked my husband, "What do you think?" He said, "I really like that." But Smarty Jones, there Smarty Jones came. That was the beginning.
They drive for the wire. Smarty Jones leads it. Smarty Jones continues undefeated, wins the Southwest by 3/4. But it is Smarty Jones in full stride and pulling away. He's one step closer to $5 million.
Well, there was a little pressure on us going into the Arkansas Derby because of the way the graded money was set up to be eligible for the Derby. The Rebel and the Southwest weren't graded.
And they're off in the Arkansas Derby 2004.
We trained him into the Derby. We went to the draw, and of course he drew the outside post, which is very difficult at Oaklawn.
By coming by the grandstand the first time, Smarty Jones has a head in front of Purge.
And I was a little concerned just the fact that he had run such a big race in the Rebel. He had run a huge number, and I was a little worried about a bounce. This race was the race that put all the pressure on everybody. And I told Chappie, I said, you know, if he's 1-2, it gets him in the Derby. If he's not 1-2, we're probably not going to point for the Derby anyway.
Here they come into the stretch of the Arkansas Derby, and it is Smarty Jones who takes command and draws clear by 3 lengths. Purge is still second. Perigo now moves to the middle in third. Smarty Jones leads it by 3.5 and is pulling away. It is Smarty Jones, one step more to Kentucky.
How did that win feel? The excitement was incredible. I mean, here was a homebred. I mean, my husband and I, starting out in the racing business, we were thrilled when we were winning cheap claiming races. So you can imagine when our homebred came along and was winning, he won every race. They loved him at Oaklawn, and we loved being at Oaklawn. We had so much fun out there.
You know, after the Arkansas Derby, like I could tell he just wasn't the same horse. Wasn't training great, and I was like, man, what's going on?
We were going into that race with a horse that stood a chance of winning, but we also know how many ways a horse can lose a race.
Humble beginnings, blue collar. At the time, so we thought, this Pennsylvania bred and Smarty Jones and what he was able to accomplish, becoming the first undefeated Kentucky Derby winner since Seattle Slew, and coming up just short in the Triple Crown, in the Belmont Stakes, bidding for a Triple Crown.
It's like a Hollywood storyline.
Right?
The pride of Pennsylvania, Smarty Jones, taken from humble beginnings, small breeders, to achieve the biggest success in horse racing, the Kentucky Derby, and almost getting the Triple Crown.
And the vivid memories you have of actually being at Belmont Park, witnessing, observing not only Smarty Jones getting reeled in by Birdstone, but just the crowd's reaction and that immediate change of emotion.
Well, there was such a big gap from the previous Triple Crown winner, and we were anticipating that if we were ever going to see one in our lifetime. And when Smarty Jones made that move around the turn and opened up, it seemed as if it was all over, like he was going to win. And here comes Birdstone. the eruption of the crowd and the feeling of excitement and all that just went away as Birdstone passed him inside the 8 pole. And like I said, you could literally hear a pin drop in there.
One of the best race calls ever from Tom Durkin, really capturing the moment, and Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. Eventually, a Triple Crown was captured in 2015. American Pharoah, another Arkansas Derby winner. How productive will this year's Arkansas Derby winner be? Only time will tell. Entering the winner's circle here following the Temperance Hill. The Fasig-Tipton Winner's Circle lead-in brought to you by Fasig-Tipton's industry-leading selected yearling sales, the July sale, the Saratoga sale, and New York bred yearling sale, all taking place this summer. Nominate your yearlings today at FasigTipton.com. Mass Parade in the Temperance Hill by a nose over Classic Causeway, 9-12-7-13. Winning pilot Harry Hernandez standing by with Maggie.
Here with Harry Hernandez aboard Mass Parade in this Temperance Hill. And Harry, you were pumped up at the wire. It was close, but you knew you won.
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of saw the head bump, and I'm like, okay, I got it. And it's just, you know, when you have a long shot and you actually study the race and you try and the horse do everything and they win, that excitement just for trying and knowing that any horse that doesn't have a shot is the one that stays in the barn. So that expression just came out automatically.
I love that. I love that. It's so true. And honestly, this horse has so much back class and has run well at these longer distances. Yep. As you said, you did your homework. Why did you think he had a chance today?
Well, he finished 4th. I don't remember. I think it was in the Travers. I think he finished 4th on one of those big races, so I went back and see the replay. And he's a horse that, like he did, he takes you, but then when you start riding, you got to be on him, but he keeps trying. So when that hole just opened and I went inside, I just kept riding, and every time I asked him, the more I asked him, the more he gave me, and it feels good. Feels good.
Harry, you've had a great Oaklawn meet. Keep up the great work, and congrats here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Harry Hernandez aboard Mass Parade. Cool horse getting back to his winning ways.
Tough as nails in the stretch and running down Classic Causeway, Mass Parade. Trained by Robertino Diodoro in a story that broke earlier today. Diodoro facing a suspension, medication violation, still not fully adjudicated, but Diodoro has been ruled off Oaklawn Park, but was allowed to run his horses already entered here at Oaklawn. Mass Parade in the featured Temperance Hill. Horses in the paddock for the nightcap. 14 minutes out until race 10 on this eve of the Arkansas Derby. We'll be right back.
Catholic boy standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. And we have a beautiful day for the running of the Arkansas Derby.
This Saturday, the road to the Kentucky Derby heats up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. America's Day at the Races brings you expanded on-site coverage from Oaklawn Park, featuring the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Don't miss all the action from 1 to 8 p.m. Eastern on FS2.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori back here in our studio in New York. Final 2 Saturdays coming up of these 100-point to the winter prep races to get into the starting gate for that Run for the Roses that first Saturday in May. Tomorrow, it's Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. And it is, as Paulie talked about, the big three in this race. Muth for Bob Baffert, who can't qualify or get to the Kentucky Derby because of the ban on Baffert. There's Timberlake, your Rebel winner. And then Mystic Dan, that impressive Southwest winner. But Timberlake, he proved something coming back off the bench as a 3-year-old that he could win around 2 turns.
Yeah, and the thing that was most impressive was that he was very comfortable in and amongst horses. Timberlake had shown a propensity as a 2-year-old to want to get keen, pull a little too much, not listen to the rider, get too aggressive. The fact that he was surrounded by horses and he didn't get rank really bodes well for him going forward. He picks up Flavien Prat, who is your leading rider in the nation right now at the moment. And him waiting on his rider's cues, Greg, is going to help him negotiate traffic and usually what's too fast a pace for the distance in the Kentucky Derby. I was very impressed with Timberlake's mental maturity in his return.
And meanwhile, one of the biggest figures that any 3-year-old has run this year, Mystic Dan, what he did in the Southwest. He obviously, aided a little bit by sticking to the rail the entire way around. The inside was good that day. It was a wet track. Can he repeat it on a fast track on Saturday?
Well, I mean, of course, that's a big question. I was very impressed with him. I actually was speaking with Kenny McPeak the morning before the Southwest Stakes, and he was saying how they had been working with Mystic Dan to get him to relax and use his speed late. All good horses share one characteristic. They possess speed. It's how they learn to use that speed, dole out that pace, if you will. And Mystic Dan was so kind. He looked like a little sports car, and he really quickened up. Fantastic ride that day, saving all the ground. Brian Hernandez just quietly, unassumingly goes about his business and delivers these picture-perfect rides time after time.
One of the most underrated riders in the entire country, Brian Hernandez Jr., and we know Kenny McPeak loves him. That was part of that huge weekend for McPeak. He had that 11-1 upset in the Southwest. He had Band of Gold win at 24-1 in the Martha Washington on the road to the Oaks. And then you have D. Wayne Lucas, Just Steel, maybe going shorter in the end. It's going to be better for that horse.
Potentially. He's been a horse that's been having these trips where he's just hung out 4 or 5 wide the entirety of races. I would hope that maybe with Keith Asmussen, he gets more of a trip where he gets covered up, saves some ground, switches off. Then if he doesn't perform, I'll be convinced he wants to turn back.
There's Steve Asmussen just leaving our screen. He's going to send out the 4 Neon Beach. His son is going to be elsewhere. He's going to be on the 2, Marisol Sugar for John Ortiz. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Horses hitting the track here for this nightcap, and it does feel like Neon Beach's race to lose because she looks fantastic. She's been in tough company. I do like the looks of her, but let's take a look at a horse coming in off of a layoff in number 7, I'm a Mess. Well, sometimes they name horses aptly. She is a little bit of a mess. She's a little hot. She's a little too aggressive coming in off of a layoff, but she does look very fit in here overall. She does tend to get away from the gate, at least in her 2-year-old races, on the slower side. And she really ran well to win and break her maiden back in November, though I'm not totally sure how good that field has come to fruition, how good they have actually become. So I'm a Mess. She might need one. I just don't love to see her that hot, as she is really well bred too. Is number 10, Promise Me an Empire, will get Lasix for the first time. Came back, first start as a 3-year-old in the Martha Washington. She kind of ran like a horse that was scared of the slop. Sometimes horses, when the slop starts hitting them in the noise, because she was forward, she was well in hand, then she lost ground in the turn, she kind of ran like a yo-yo. And when that happens, it's usually signs of a horse not handling the going. Well, now she's back on a fast track for her second start off the bench. Like the number improve. coming back as a 3-year-old, and she looks fantastic here. Dappled head to toe, really fit, really solid, really settled too so far in the prelims, guys.
Maggie, thanks so much. Post-parade brewing here for this 10th and final at Oaklawn Park. $140,000 purse, 3-year-old fillies, mile and a 16th. We start with Marisol Sugar, second to that super freak Impel in her latest.
Yeah, and won first time out very impressively. Definitely a top contender in this race.
Lookster, Baton Masterson's filly.
The team of Norm Cass and Ricardo Santana, they did good earlier.
Trying to strike again, Neon Beach here. Kristen Torres in the Bloom Racing Midnight Bizu colors.
This one is going to be my top pick. First time Lasix, dropping in class from the Honeybee Stakes back into allowance company.
Long shot side by side, Divine Girl, who you just saw, then number 6 in My Woman, 25-1 maiden winner earlier this month.
Maiden taking on winners for the first time seems a notch below this competition.
I'm a mess, Maggie said. She looked like a little bit of a mess, 6-1.
Well-bred filly, coming off a layoff with the Lasix for the first time. Hopefully she settles down going to the gate.
Brought Ferry, good luck, Tom Amos.
Switching back from the turf to the dirt where she had her maiden win, trying to run back into form.
Lasix first time, Promise Me an Empire.
Another one coming out of the state company down to allowance race. This Kentucky bred is got first time Lasix as well, so a lot to like there.
When I look at you, coming off a 6-length score at Fairgrounds in the slot.
Yeah, that was against a maiden optional claimers. Now stepping up a few levels in facing allowance horses for the first time.
Contender outside In Good Taste, Flavian Pratt, Brad Cox, Team Timberlake.
Big win, breaking the maiden 2 starts back. Last time got thrown in a deep end in Marta, Washington. But she was actually one of the favorites in that race. Today she gets Lasix, comes back to allowance race. Might be a good formula for success.
Serious contender, the field for this 10th and final. Post time 5 minutes. Paulie, and start with Marisol Sugar. And the best news, she doesn't have to tangle with the likes of Impel this time.
Yeah, kind of true. Another Brad Cox charge. It's probably going to be headed to the Kentucky Oaks. I mean, he's got Tarifa already. And Impel could be just as talented or even more talented. And that's why I'd like the 2 in here for Johnny Ortiz. You know, this horse ran a good second-place finish. You know, and I always say the hardest thing in racing is to face winners for the first time. And then she faced Impel. But, you know, she was a length and 3/4 clear of the third-place finisher that day, pun intended. But this was her debut when she won first time out with Keith Aspin's board, and she was just on cruise control most of the way. So I actually surprised that you're getting 4-1, although Neon Beach, the 4 in here, is taking money with Christian Torres and Steve Asmussen coming out of the Honeybee and Lemon Muffin. But I do think Marisol Sugar has got a ton of room to improve. Yes, I'm a mess. My form's all over the place, and I'm kind of a mess. But David Cohen right now is on, I think, on a live horse by American Pharoah. You know, this horse tried the dirt for the first time, got Lasix now, and you get David Cohen, who's been sitting in that room, is a pretty good rider too as well. But I'm going to land on Marisol Sugar here, the John Ortiz charge. I just got to hope Maggie thought he looked good in the paddock.
Yeah, so Marisol Sugar, I agree with you, Paulie, and all the things that you said. And quick note on I'm a Mess, it just dawned on me who she's a half-sister to. That's Tom's D'Etat. I was struggling there. Julia Tuttle, I know that she's produced somebody really nice, but Marisol Sugar, little bit nervous. They kept her quiet in the paddock. Then Keith Asmussen, when he got aboard her, look, he's just been petting her and kind of trying to keep her quiet. She is a little bit of a nervous type. Yes, I do think her last race, although beaten 8.5 lengths by a very talented filly, she certainly improved. I don't love her, but I can get behind her merits. I can see why that she is taking money here. Just wish she was a little bit more settled overall. As a horse that is taking money too is In Good Taste. I really don't think she liked the slop. At least that's what you're banking on if you do like her. She does get Lasix for this start here. She's just not your typical Brad Cox runner. And at 3-1, she's one that I am willing to not take a shot on. She just isn't carrying the greatest conditioning. She could look better in her coat, and it is tough to endorse a horse that was virtually ease last time, albeit on maybe a surface she didn't prefer in a tougher spot. So we'll see here, but definitely Neon Beach looking fantastic and a little interested in the 10-2 here. Promise Me an Empire. Lafitte?
Neon Beach, the favorite 2-1. Maggie likes what she sees in the flesh, and you liked what you saw on paper coming in, Neon Beach, Raj.
Well, that just sealed it for me.
There you go.
The two main competition for Neon Beach for me on paper looked to be Marisol Sugar and In Good Taste. And with what Maggie said about the way they're acting out there and stuff, it just kind of made me feel more concrete that Neon Beach should be an overwhelming favorite in this race.
Just 2-1. Neon Beach, what does Christian Torres need to do to put her in the best position to be effective and get a victory today?
Well, she seems like a joy to ride. She has enough natural speed where she's going to put him in a good spot where he doesn't have to do... He can let the race develop and pick his spot from there. She has the right kind of tactical pace to be just off the front runners and be in a striking position coming off the turn.
Neon Beach, 2-1. Number 2, Marisol Sugar. Raj, and we've been discussing Impel and the strength of schedule for Marisol Sugar and the fact that Impel, the kind of talent she has, trained by Brad Cox, and the likely favorite for the Grade 1, Ashland, keep prep for the Kentucky Oaks at Keeneland next week.
And yeah, Impel is a star on the rise and is going to be a key contender there in Ashland. But she still beat her by 8 lengths. So Marisol Sugar wasn't a threat to Impel. And when you think about who Neon Beach has been running against, Lemon Muffin, West Omaha, Tappet Generally, these are top contenders in tomorrow's fantasy. And she barely missed to these horses. So it's a significant class drop for Neon Beach to be running in this race. In fact, if she was in the fantasy tomorrow, I would think that she would be one of the top contenders in there.
Fantasy tomorrow, Oaklawn's keep prep for the Kentucky Oaks. Yeah, you've been in this situation before. You won some big Derby prep races. Rajiv with Irish War Cry in the Wood Memorial, Wicked Strong Wood Memorial as well. What do you remember about the night before for a rider, knowing you're riding a horse the following day in a marquee race and in a race that could lead you to Churchill Downs to ride in the Derby?
Well, I would be laying in my bed thinking about 10,000 different scenarios of how the race is going to be run. So usually before big race days, I don't sleep well. It's just my brain is working 1,000 miles an hour while I'm laying there, and then I get up and I'm just like excited, running on dopamine hits of winning big races. But it's always a lot of preparation, just analyzing how you think the race is going to unfold and being prepared for every scenario. Then you get to the jocks room and there's a scratch in the race, and everything that you thought about last night and everything, just you change all your ways of thinking.
You got to work your way through all those different scenarios. All of that coming your way tomorrow. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports 2, the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. Matt Ditterman standing by with the load and call post time for the nightcap from Oaklawn.
When I look at you, post position 11. My Woman. Into the outside, In Good Taste. Here's In Good Taste coming up. A field of 10, going 1 mile and a 16th, the last race on Arkansas Derby Eve. We're ready to go. And Laruff in the finale. Promise Me an Empire broke alertly. Marisol Sugar a little bit quicker with Lookster and Neon Beach. Marisol Sugar on the inside taking control of things. Lookster second. Neon Beach tucks in behind the speed third with Promise Me an Empire. And When I Look at You, who's parked deep on the course. Divine Gal and I'm a Messer next. They're together. They're a length and a half in front of In Good Taste and My Woman. Brody Ferry at the rear of the field early. 9 lengths off the leader. Marisol Sugar, who leads the parade under Keith Asmussen. Marisol Sugar, a length and a half, a length and 3/4 ahead. Lookster second, Neon Beach third to the inside. Promise Me an Empire a half length off of her. Then comes I'm a Mess between horses. Divine Gal is on the inside, and a deep When I Look at You. She's two better than In Good Taste. My Woman drops to the back with Brody Ferry as they're halfway home in the finale on Arkansas Derby Eve. Marisol Sugar went the opening quarter in 23-3, the half at 47-4. Marisol Sugar still cruising on a length and 3/4 advantage. Lookster second. Neon Beach slips inside of her, is now a joint second. Promise Me an Empire in the 3-path attempts to get closer. When I Look at You is shaken up 4 behind. Her stablemate I'm a Mess is between horses, needs to pick it up. Divine Gal has lost position. In Good Taste is underway, passing a few runners now, getting to the outside. She's still got 5 lengths to gain in the final quarter mile. Marisol Sugar cuts the corner, comes down the lane in front. Neon Beach tries to move forward on the fence. Right behind Promise Me an Empire is grinding away, and Lookster furlong to go. Marisol Sugar, now Neon Beach gets out. Promise Me an Empire coming to, but Neon Beach dropping out of Stakes Company, showing her class now, and Neon Beach coming to the line. She's got it. Neon Beach, Christian Torres with a nice ride. Promise Me an Empire was second. Marisol Sugar holds third. I'm a Mess was fourth.
Too much Neon Beach in the end, 9-5. Christian Torres, Steve Asmussen. That about what you were expecting this afternoon, Raj?
Yeah, exactly. Christian didn't have to be too creative. Just right, it was pretty straightforward. Break, get a good position. The pace developed in front of him. He sat in the pocket and then tipped out and made his run. For a moment there, though, you can tell that he was getting a little desperate because he was not able to find room when he first wanted to. At the top of the lane, the 10 was trying to hold him in a little bit, and fortunately, there was a split. Christian took it and went on to victory.
Yeah, like some moxie, the way she was battling in between horses, and seemingly every time she was challenged, she had a little bit more to give battling through the stretch.
Yes, and some of these horses are, you might think that they're done, but then another horse engages them and they re-break. And it seemed like the 10 horse was pushing at her and she gave more every time.
10 up and 10 down from Oaklawn Park. I hope you're ready for an incredible day of thoroughbred racing tomorrow. We have 12 hours of live television. It starts very early with the Dubai World Cup coverage. The Dubai World Cup, have you had a chance to take a look? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah.
Going in, who do you like?
I like Ushba Tesoro.
To go back to back.
I like him to go back to back. His last race in the Saudi Cup, it wasn't the best dynamics for him. He's a more steady pace horse. That was a fast early pace. I think the extended distance and the more steady pace is going to really be suitable for him. And he just got beat a nose last time, so that should be able to be enough to turn the tables.
He just brings it. He won so many races, trying to go back-to-back in the Dubai World Cup. As he mentioned, just missing in the Saudi Cup. Ushba Tesoro among the Japanese, and a strong edition of the Dubai World Cup. We'll have it for you tomorrow right here on Fox Sports 2, 8 a.m. Arkansas Derby Saturday tomorrow, and the Superstars, the 3-year-olds. Muth, the morning line favorite, trained by Bob Baffert, not eligible for the Kentucky Derby, perhaps his final start before the Preakness. Timberlake, the Rebel Stakes winner for trainer Brad Cox, trying to make history, trying to win a 3rd straight Arkansas Derby. Nobody's ever done it on his 44th birthday. And Mystic Dan, how good was he in the slop in the Southwest? Charging up the rail, very fast, super talented. And in the end, whose name will be on that trophy? Who will win the 88th Arkansas Derby? You'll find out tomorrow evening right here on Fox Sports 2. Have a great night.